Hello everyone and welcome to Party Saturday, or as we like to call it, Tony, here on the APAT show. Our guest is none other than stud bronze Tony the Tiger Trippier, who will be talking life, poker and all things in between. He may even talk through some of your poker play from tonight's championship event. Okay, Tony and Leigh will join after this brief intro. And remember folks, today's the day we get back on the campaign trail. Let's make APAT great again.
Tony, Tony, Tony. Tony, 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 Tony. 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 Tony, 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 Tony. T-O-N-Y. Tony, Tony, Tony. Tony, 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 Tony. 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 Tony, 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 Tony. Tony, 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 Tony. Tony, 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 Tony. 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 T-O-N-Y. Tony. Tony.
Amen, brother. Leigh, there's only one thing I can say, and that is Tony, 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 Tony.
Sorry, who have we got on the show? Who is it?
It is Tony Trippier tonight. It's not Vince tonight, is it?
Who? I've never heard of him. Never heard. Hang on, let me just hang on. Let me just have a quick What? Tony with a? Is it double P for Trippier? Is it? Hang on a minute.
Oh, I tell you, I'm crying here. I'm absolutely crying. Who have we got on, Leigh?
Oh right, okay. I found him. Yeah, all right. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's not. He's one of a few. Oh, he's a couple of APAT.
Tony, Tony, Tony.
Yeah, okay. He's Des. He's won an APAT thing.
Who?
Somewhere.
Trippier.
This Tony Trippier guy.
I thought he only had a bronze.
We should just get him on the show.
Let's do it.
About it. Evening, Tony.
Well, that was good timing because I've just been abused by David Pilkington.
Crikey, do you need to call some sort of support line or?
We're here to help, Tony. How can we help? How can we talk you through this?
Well, I had aces and 9-10 with the ace of hearts, and it come down 2, 3, 5 of hearts. And
it's poker. Oh, it's poker abuse.
The man hasn't even said hello, and he's into hand details already. That's a consummate professional. I'd expect no less from Tony, Tony, Tony. Tony, how are you doing? Let's not talk poker yet. Let's not. You're playing in 2 events, is that right?
I'm not sure I can talk. Playing 2 tables is hard enough at my age. Without having to talk. How many people have you got watching so far?
Oh, I tell you what, we've got a few, but I can tell you, Adelaide Bull, right? One Mr. Steve Healy says, slip him some tramadol. He's better on drugs. Wink, wink.
Oh my God.
Oh, I tell you, I tell you what, seeing as we've done this, seeing as you've opened that can of worms, let me just shout out who we've got so we're clear. Phil Cole says, sorry, I don't know who he is. Scouse Bailiff, I'm sorry to say for you, Tony, is watching. Asa McGrath is there. Gaz Howard, I'm sorry to say for you, Tony, is watching. So there will be abuse incoming. We're looking forward to that. Asa says, evening all, evening chap. Paul Haycock is watching. Scouse says, evening all, especially the legend that is TT. Richard White is there. Gaz says, good luck, Des and Leigh. Do you know what, Leigh? I think we might need it tonight. I do. Colin McCarthy is there. Matthew Cromwell says, oh no, not TT. Scouse says, who's on? I can't tell from the song. Did you have any question marks as to who was on from the song, Leigh? No, we've done that. We've been there. Will Young is there. Pete Wigglesworth is there. Dean Pearson. Ironside is there. Saying Leigh is quiet. He says that every night, doesn't he? Leigh is quiet. Alan Horsburgh, who's absolutely brilliant on the show on Thursday night, is there. Good evening to you, Alan. Vince Ely is there. Vince is going to be with us tomorrow night with Shirley Cole. That's going to be amazing. Ironside says, Tony's quiet too compared to Des. Well, I'm always noisy. I'm always noisy.
Look, guys, let me let you into a little secret here, right? Okay. So
don't tell them I stand on a box.
No, I was going to say, so anyone that remembers back, kind of Live Aid when Queen came on stage and that kind of rumour that they dialed it up to 11 so they'd sound better than anybody else. Well, Mr. Duffy might have watched that back a few times and got himself an idea, because the way it works is he gets to plug his proper mic in and it comes out through the system, whereas obviously Tony and I are coming via a VoIP call. So unfortunately, with lockdown, we can't all be as much as we'd love to spend a Saturday night in a room with Tony Trippier. I mean,
do you know what I think we have to do, Lee? And I've just dialed myself down a little bit there, but I think, once we get out of lockdown, guys, once we have our first APAT sort of event in the schedule, and we're all excited to go and do it, I think on the Saturday night, we've got to have an APAT show live in the venue. What do you think?
Oh, surely we're doing the Tony Trippier Road Show.
Well, I have no idea, but I think that would be insane. Richard Baker is with us, as indeed is James Spicer. James says, evening all. Evening to you, James. Richard Baker says, Tony, but he spells it Tony, which is quite good. Steve Forty's there. Hi, Lee and Des. Must say, love the 2020 start of the intro. Real high-tech Minority Report style, but never been sure about the 1980s bullseye style music to follow it up. Well, there we go. Some you win, some you lose. Rob Green is with us as well. So, Tony, to answer your question, it's quite a bunch of people in the old chat box looking forward to hearing your dulcet tones tonight. But you're telling us you're playing the poker. A lot of players playing the poker. Lee, well, we've got what have we got on tonight?
So it's Saturday night. Hot Limit Omaha in the squads. We've got 122 runners in that, 39 remaining. We're paying top 18. And obviously Saturday night, as is always the way, is Championship Saturday, No Limit Hold'em. 126 runners started in that. We're down to 32. We're paying top... Oh, I've lost a tab on that. We're paying top 16. And obviously one of those is a certain Mr. A. Trippier.
Fantastic. I've just put his table live. Yeah,
still in.
You're up now, Tony. You are up. How are you finding lockdown, my friend?
Well, I've still been working. March the 23rd was the last time I left my flat.
Oh,
I've
no.
I've not had a shower since April the 5th.
Why is that, Tone?
What's the point?
What's the point? That's fair enough. I haven't had a haircut myself since, well, it feels like January of last year. What's the point, eh? Quite right.
So can I tell you what hand I've got if there's a delay?
Well, there's a 30
second delay. So, yeah.
So I'm probably all in here with a straight, but anybody's got a flush draw, they're obviously going to call me, but I've flopped a straight.
Which one's that, in the Omaha game?
Yeah, I'll be in the other game.
In the Omaha, yeah.
Yeah, we've got your championship table up, so...
That's all right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just so you know that. Yeah.
I got it through. Happy days. I'm going to struggle to talk and play.
Talk us through it. It's like having a young Chris Kamara dialing the studio live.
Are you Andy Black in disguise? Yeah.
No, he's on Tuesday, mate.
Yeah.
I haven't committed to a Tuesday yet. Still haven't called Andy back. Honestly, he's not going to remember who we are when we call.
Yeah, no. It'll be that long ago. So, yeah.
I've been working from home for the lockdown. Half of my colleagues have all been furloughed, but they decided that I can carry on working, and well, they're at home playing golf. So
are they? But do they do similar jobs to you, Tony? Do you feel a little bit like it's just the way they've worked that, or is it just a case of actually particular roles they've managed to keep on? And I don't actually even know what you do. What do you do for a living?
So I'm an apprenticeship tutor. I deliver NVQ apprenticeships in the workplace, in management and business studies, customer service.
Brilliant.
I do functional skills in maths, English and IT.
Wow. Who knew?
I've been able to do Zoom meetings for the last 3 months. So my body clock has gone from getting up at 7 to get to work for 9, going to bed at 10:30, 11, to going to bed at 2, having had half a bottle of gin, getting up about 9 and working in my bed. Obviously, the camera's switched off for obvious reasons.
Because they have to pay for that, don't they? Yeah, if you're going to put your camera on, yeah.
I'll tell you, Lee, this is so different. This is so different to having, all of the teachers we've had on previously, Rob and Phil, and, they're sort of saying, you've got to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, prepare the lessons, and we've got to do this, do that. Tony's going to bed with half a bottle of gin. It's fantastic. I'm liking this already. We are getting lots of comments in the chat box. Let's have a look. Matt Cromwell says, "'Cause he's a rock and roll star." Curtis Ledger is with us, the sheriff, who I think I read somewhere had a pretty decent result recently.
Yeah, won the PLO last night.
There you go. Well done, Curtis. So Vince says, "Looks like your last haircut was in 2018, Des." Actually, it feels like that too. Do you know, my 6-year-old daughter, bless her cotton socks, she came to me halfway through the day and she said, "Dad, I'm going for a haircut tomorrow." And I said, "I don't think so, Gwen. I think it's next month earliest before, barbers open and stuff." And she went, "Oh, okay," and walked off. And then later on, she got the scissors and started in on her fringe.
Oh,
yeah, Sean is very upset. Now, I'm looking at it thinking, well, she hasn't broken an arm or anything. But Sean is not happy. So anyway, there we go. Steve 40 says, "Next Tuesday in 4 weeks ago." So I think he's right. I think Steve is actually quite close in on that one. Adelaide Bull says, "TT struggled to play and talk." Never. I don't think so. Rich Baker, "Playing and talking seem to go hand in hand." Adelaide Bull says, "You're a rent boy." Do you have any response back on that? It's been exclusively.
Look, I confided in him once.
No, but I mean, to be fair though, not everybody can be a homeowner. Some do actually just have to kind of go and rent property, and it's not everybody's thing. I'm assuming that's what he's referring to.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
We're playing a competition. I can't remember what it was, but I was pretty drunk, obviously, and I've got a massive headache. So I've asked for some. Hold on a minute. Let's see.
Is that beeping Tony? Is that beeping Tony?
Pilkington abusing me again.
Good lad, Dave P. Davey P.
I'm going to fold back in it. Yes, I've got to win this competition. I don't know where it was. I can't remember. It was the first time I met Duffers, actually. And so it's going back a bit, and I've got this horrible headache. So I've asked for some tablets. And Steve gave me a couple of headache tablets. And about an hour later, I mean, I know I can talk at the table, but I was like crazy mad, just literally just like motor mouth. I mean, it got to the point where I think there was 3 left. The guy had like a 3-2 chip lead and just did a deal because he was just sick to death of me.
50-50.
It turns out that Steve Healy had given me a couple of tramadol.
Oh, nice.
So I was just obviously completely off my head, but it paid dividend. I think I won about 500 quid, and I promised all the guys a Kentucky meal, and I've still not bought it for them. I feel bad about it. I mean, Brian doesn't mention it, to be fair. So.
Well, I have no idea what tramadol is, but Trump style, I think I can say to everyone, you should be taking tramadol before every poker tournament. Look at your win rate. What do you think, Lee? I'm not a doctor, mind. I'm not a doctor.
Obviously, don't do drugs, kids, and all that. But but
not a doctor. Gaz Howard asks, "Can you ask Tony to explain the cheating scandal with Touch Todd Wood in Vegas?" What was that, Tone?
Okay, so we're in Vegas, and we've all got dressed up in our golf gear. Oh my God! Hold on a minute. I've got a huge push through.
That's right, mate. You carry on. Carry on.
So, what the game is every hole you have a drink, and if you have a drink, it's a par.
Yeah. You playing?
And if you have
actual
2
golf
drinks,
or what?
No, it's every. So the concept of the game is every drink you have. If you have 1 drink at the bar, then you par, and if you have 2 drinks, then you -1.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Sorry about this, guys. We're going to run an advert.
So we're so we're like doubling up on cocktails because if you have a cocktail, it counts as -2. So by like hole 5, you can be like -3, -4, or if you've just had a pint each round, you par.
Right. Okay.
And the rules of the game are that you've got a compatriot that marks your card. Hold on.
Was he like? What do you think, Lee? I think he's got the mic on one table and the poker laptop on another table. He's leaning across.
I'm going to fold about 30 by the looks of it. So you've got to. If you have a drink, then somebody marks the card to verify that you've had the drink. Otherwise, you go all night not drinking and win the money because there was money involved, obviously.
Yeah. So
I think we get to like hole 12, and we're all absolutely rat-legged. We're all having like double sambuca, pims, and God knows what to get these minus points to win the competition. So we get to this. Hold on. Oh God. So we get to this bar, which is like hole 11 or 13 or something, and Brian decides that nobody drinks at this bar. We're just going to get something to eat. So we all get something to eat, and we roll on to the next bar, and we get some drinks in, and Todd turns around and goes, I mean, I love Todd. We would never cheat, but we did fall out for the first time in like 12 years. And he turns around and said, I had a double something or other that counts as -2. Bearing in mind that I've been working at trying to win this for like 4 hours, and I'm like absolutely like drinking all sorts. And I went, but I'm the card marker, so it doesn't count. How that drink doesn't count because I didn't see you drink it, and plus Brian had said that nobody was drinking. He said, well, I've had a drink, so it counts. So
is this the same story?
Yeah.
So I've got
it's like a fucking series on Netflix.
No, they'll turn this into a trilogy. It'll be fine. You're all right.
I've got a blow up 3-wood, and I just thrust it into the bin and say, I'm not playing anymore. Threw me down, stormed off because he's cheated, and fucked off home. And woke up the next day to a myriad of Facebook post of Todd at the 18th hole going, can't drink this, sir. One more, sir. Like drinking like double bourbon. He's literally gargling on the stuff. So, I mean, there is a God because Todd didn't win. Gareth Howard ended up winning it, so I was quite happy. And I know I don't really believe in God, but I know there is a God because Todd was that ill the next day.
Oh, I can imagine.
And he was ill for one of 2 reasons. 1, because he drank too much, or 2, because God frowned upon him because he cheated.
I think there was a bit of guilt. He just felt guilty, Tony. Just felt guilty. My God, what a story. So Di Farrell is telling us that tramadol apparently is a controlled drug. It's illegal to give anyone it. So, as in best Trump style, take it, kids. It'll do you no harm. Adam Phelan says, no or me? I'm not sure about that one, Adam. Scouse says, you don't feel bad about not buying KFC meal, Tony. You a nice lad, but 100% the tightest man in APAT. Am I glad to hear that? Gaz says he's loving this. I must admit I'm loving this. Steve says, sorry, Des, I'm in Scoop MTT. Can we talk in 5 weeks' time? I love that too. Joe says, this is amazing. It is indeed. Gaz said, Tony had a right hissy fit. The dummy was thrown for miles. It's still travelling. Steve says, I've got Trippier on my PLO table. Can he tell me when he got a good hand? Oh, yeah. Dwayne Porter has joined us. Robin Needham has joined us. Carl Pilgrim is here. Davey Blacklaw is here. Matt Cromwell is crying in a corner, I have to say. Rob says, evening, chaps. Evening, Rob. Fraser Bolt. Oh, does that man look good? Fraser Bolt, how much weight has that man lost over the last year or two? Incredible stuff. Adam was asking about the KFC. So there you go, guys. We're about, 90 minutes into the show, and we've got one story out of Tony. Oh, it's going to be a long night. What are you doing now, Tony? Are you back?
I mean, ultimately, you cheated. I mean, it's like 4 years ago. It keeps, when you get those Facebook memory things, it keeps coming like, I love you, Todd, but you cheated, mate. You had a sneaky dream when you shouldn't have done. The law was that no. Brian will obviously write in capitals that I'm right.
Listen, Todd is one of the golden children of APAT. He's just so Mr. Clean Cut. We can't have a bad word said about Todd. On the other hand, you're our BCPC bronze stud. You come from the other side of the tracks. So no, Todd, I'm sure he wasn't cheating. What do you think, Lee? I don't think he was cheating.
Couldn't call it between the two of them, to be honest.
No.
So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll get Todd on at some point, and we'll get his side of the story. It might be a shorter version, but we'll get his side of the story.
How many times have you guys been in Vegas, Tony?
I think it's 3. Is it 3?
Brilliant.
My memory is, I think we've been 3 times. Chris Baker wants to go every alternate year. But
same sort of group, roughly.
Well, the first time we went was when was it the Euros or the Worlds were on? Honestly, my memory is awful. Hold on, just let I know.
Adam says you've been drinking since 10 a.m.
3.
Oh, he sounds good for somebody who's been drinking since 10 a.m. Couldn't be drinking at 10 a.m., Lee. I don't think so.
Well, he's still into both tournaments. So we've got 22 players left in the championship. Tony is 21 of 22, so he is one of the
because I'm talking to you, bloody blinding away.
And there's 30 runners left in the squads, and Tony is number 29 of 30. So he's got 2 short stacks, but we know he can nurse those into the money on both of them quite comfortably. He just needs to concentrate a little bit.
Absolutely.
I finished 4th last night. I got mullered again. Horrible.
Oh, listen, we had Matt Pitt on a few nights ago. Guy hadn't played.
I've not played poker I stopped playing BCPC, so I've probably not played poker at all for about 6 to 8 months. So when this came up, I thought, brilliant, APAT. I'm obviously going to play it because I love it. And poker has definitely changed. It's a completely different game from 8 months ago. They're complete maniacs, absolute donk betting. I think I've been watching, if somebody raises in whatever position, I think it's like something like 97% of the time they're betting again. They're constantly bet. And I like to kind of like float and see a flop, and it's like, bloody hard work, mate.
So when did you start playing poker then, Tony? When did APAT start?
Oh, 2006. We had our first event in Birmingham at the Broadway.
I've played the first event. So I probably started playing about 6 months before the first APAT.
Oh, bloody hell! Wow. How did you get into poker?
So I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Marcel Furet?
I do. Yeah.
So hold on. I'm just gonna go mental and start shoving. I've gone round to Marcel Furet's house, and they used to play. Strangely enough, in my 20s, we used to play stud. Obviously,
in your 20s, I'm trying to do the maths here. He told me he started in 2006, Lee.
No, but I used to play with my mates. No Limit Hold'em didn't exist in those days, so I've never heard of No Limit Hold'em. So I've gone around to Marcel's, and he's like, "Oh, he's been watching this program on TV about No Limit Hold'em." I'm like, "I've never heard of it." So we start playing. I took a tenner off him, obviously, because he's a fish. And I've bought this book. It shows you all the hand rankings and stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I bought a Poker Player magazine. I started reading some articles and stuff. I'm like, this looks like fun. Hold on. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, 3 high. I'm going to fold that. And I fired up...
Can you put your mic by your PC at all? Can you do that?
I'll hold it up so I can do 2, 4. Should I call 6 big blinds? Yeah,
Des would say yes, but I wouldn't.
Do you have? Yeah. Is there a cup or a bottle or anything on your table as well? If you could hold that and your mic up in different hands, then it'll all be fine. Just
I can do that. But what about?
It'll automatically blind you out over time. It'll be fine.
Well, what about, I can't pick up my gin if I do that.
Gin counts.
Yeah, Des, that's really not fair. Yeah.
So I've gone home. I've logged online. I think it was Poker Player. I can't remember the
Poker Player.
It's called Poker Player. Fired up the site. Started playing $1 rebuys, $5 rebuys, and I think in the first kind of 3 months, I won about £4,000.
Wow, bloody hell! Nice.
$4,000. I mean, I didn't know what a bad beat was. Those were the days when I got aces and kings, and it's like, this is where I double up. I mean, I get aces and kings now, and I'm like, here's my exit hand kind of stuff. So,
yeah, that's true.
Poker beats you up. I didn't know what a bad beat was. So, so I won a bit of money online, but I'd never played live. So Marcel was like, "Oh, there's a casino in Dudley that run £15 rebuy." So he went down to Dudley, but I'd never played live before. So the card manager was doing. They did like before the competition, the first hour you could turn up and they did like a table where they showed you how to play poker.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I kind of knew the etiquette. I didn't know the etiquette of poker, and I kind of knew how to play, but didn't know how to play live. So we had this tutorial about how to play live and stuff, and the manager was lovely. So to cut a long story short, I played in the competition. I think I got to like the last 20 pocket aces. I've got a mid stack. This guy shoves all in, so I call. I've got pocket aces as well, and I hit a flush. So I go on to win the competition. I won like £600.
Nice.
So Marcel was happy. Marcel was really happy because he got knocked out like level 4 and he was driving. So he was waiting to drive me home at like 3 a.m. So we decided to go and play it again. And I go and play the competition again, and I won it again. So Marcel turns around and says, "You can drive next time." I'm not driving yet, but oh, for God's sake, I can't do 2 things at once. So I remember the card manager came up to me and says, "Are you taking the piss?" And I'm like, "What?" He says, "Well, you've turned up like you're saying you don't know how to play, and you've just won both tournaments back to
it
back."
does look a little bit suspect.
That's right.
I knew how to play, but I didn't know the etiquette of playing, if you know what I mean. So,
yeah, the live side of it.
That's how I got into it. And then I think, I can't remember which way around. I don't know if the APAT turned up first and then BCPC turned up after. I think the BCPC started up in 2010.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you mean you'd have been way down the line with
APAT was 2006.
Oh, okay. So BCPC was way after then. Yeah. Okay. So a funny story. So I was playing online, and I used to be quite vocal of giving. I wasn't horrible to people, but I was definitely giving them grief. I was giving this guy grief, like, "What you doing? Calling like 15 big blinds on a gut shot, and you're a mug," and giving him all kinds of shit. So I've turned up. I've got an invite from Brian to play the BCPC, and it turns out the guy I was giving shit to was Todd Wood. As it turns out, he bloody deserves it for cheating in Vegas.
Oh God! And tell us about your big APAT results then. You've had 1 or 2, haven't you? Quietly.
I don't know. I actually forget. Obviously, my crowning moment was playing the live stud event, and I didn't really have a. I mean, I had played stud in my 20s, but I didn't really have an idea of what's a good hand. You know, is a pair a good hand? Is 2 pair? You know, obviously now I'm aware that if you've not got 2 pair a set, you're dead pretty much. So I was playing in the stud. So in the stud, I didn't really know how good my hands were. So I'm like just flailing away like a nut job. And by the time I got to the final table, it kind of worked it out. And then obviously that's when I get knocked out with a massive hand. That's where I'm going to go all in. That's where the hand comes in. That's where the bronze stud comes in. So my second finest moment was winning a tournament where I didn't really have a clue what I was bloody doing.
I'm sure we've had a few winners like that over the
but you've
over
had
the
some
years.
you've had some decent results. Obviously, you won the UK Pub Poker Championship back in 2011, and then obviously got to represent England a couple of times. Once in the Europeans, and then obviously in the Worlds, and being part of the winning team in the Worlds.
Right. 2013,
back
right?
in 2013.
I think we were second in the Europeans, and
You were,
and then
the year before,
and then we won. I mean, obviously, poker is a very insular game, so to play as a team with there's some guy with a beard, can't remember his name. Obviously, Asa McGrath, Carl Pilgrim, the legend that is Uncle Fester. And
that's Steve.
Steve Redfern.
Well, it's not going to be Stu Ward, is it?
I don't know. Uncle
it was
Fester.
just a brilliant. It was just a brilliant 2 days because the camaraderie that we fought. APAT forges camaraderie anyway, but the closeness that we all had. I remember we got to heads up. It was us against Italy.
That's right.
And we offered a deal and they said no, and that was just like we were just steely from there. I remember sitting down and I've got a 2-1 chip lead against the Italian player, and I've looked over to the right and Stuart Ward stands up and he's got that look that he's been beat. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to go horribly wrong. So he comes over and I'm literally all in. And I'm like, oh, sorry, mate. And what are you sorry for? I won. So I'm going to go all in there. So
here we go, guys.
Oh, hold on.
He's going to need to hit.
Oh, I won.
Oh,
yes.
no, he's got it. He's got the king.
No, he's already good. Yeah, he's already good with the kings.
So he's come over and now he said, I've won. And then the cards came down. I think I had pocket six. I was phasing half the deck. And it's like, we've won the world championship. And it's like, wow. I mean, in the APAT community, that's like the most amazing feeling ever, isn't it? And we've all been friends ever. I mean, I was friends with them anyway, but we're all really close. To be fair, now it was epic. It was an epic time. It really was.
I think what also makes the difference there is, I've talked about this on the show before, is that there's such an expectation on that England team because there's so many players that can be picked, and they've never really kind of achieved as much as would be expected from them. So for you guys to then go and do that over those 2 days, it felt like a kind of a weight off the shoulders for kind of anyone that'd been picked for England to a certain extent.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just one of my best ever APAT moments to win that. Obviously, they can't take that away from you. To be part of that, to be part of the APAT community is amazing. I mean, obviously, I love APAT as you're well aware, but I'm all in. Oh, I'm in trouble. I think I'm out. Yeah, I'm out. 28.
You've been Frank Bailey'd.
Been Bailey'd, yeah.
Okay. In the Omaha. So
nice hand, Frank.
But you've got a reasonable ish stack here now in the championship. You've got just over 10 bigs. I mean, that's loads, isn't it? Yeah. I'm
going to shove all in with Jack 9. Suited.
It's now it's a race against the clock, isn't it, Lee? He's
so if Paul's if Paul's listening, got any sense here, he's
listening.
yeah. But he won't know that you said that. So
that was close. That would have been close.
I was just thinking, can you hear that?
Yeah. There was 30 seconds to get to him.
Tony, you'll get away with the first one because he won't know that you were going to do it. But now he knows that you're calling me. You might call some of your hands. You might find a bit of time banking now for anyone.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I don't like poker that much anymore. I've just got sick of it. I don't play. I hate going to casinos full of smelly, horrible, egotistic megalomaniacs. But the APAT is, it's different, isn't it? It's a real social event. Everybody knows each other. You can have a nice time, whether you win, lose, or draw.
That's interesting, your view then. So you were playing, for roughly about 15 years in the live environment, and you've noticed that yeah, just regular casino games have just become not as enjoyable for you?
Yeah, because I play poker now because I enjoy the social aspect of it. I can have a laugh and a joke, and I've not got lots of people like, thinking that they're professionals and, just driving me mad, and the egos of people. It's just enjoy yourself. And I love playing. If I don't win, I've had a good time. If I win or do well, happy days.
Oh, well said. I mean, that's absolutely the idea. Absolutely.
Yeah,
the
idea. Kudos to you two that, it's you two that kind of got this up and running, and it's become a monster, to be fair.
I cannot take any of the credit for the initial idea. I literally jumped on Mr. Duffy's coattails in season 1 when I first started playing myself, and went, this is great. I want to get more and more involved.
Well, APAT was brought about by a bunch of people. I was the guy who sat down with the likes of Poker Stars and Blue Square and William Hill and got a bit of money to enable us to get going. That was my piece. But, Ticey and TK were absolutely the poker guys in the early years in terms of getting us up and getting a reputation and all of that good stuff. Lee and a bunch of people came in early on to help with the organization of it. And, of course, Lee has become a giant in the organization since then, and we wouldn't be where we are today without him. Of that, there's no doubt. But Tom, with all of the work that he's done on the live side and the stuff that you don't see. So Matt, does all the tech stuff for us. A ton of people do.
Does he?
A ton of stuff. Yeah. Like most of the stuff works. Most of it.
Oh, right. Yeah,
not everything. Not everything, obviously.
Matt's an absolute superstar because he is juggling so much at the moment. With obviously what he's doing with the IT with the NHS. And obviously watching his business just being able to not do anything at the moment due to lockdown, and still finding time to be going around Bristol on a uni board.
Have you seen the one wheel?
Have you seen that the other day?
It's a one wheel.
Yeah.
He's come off of the thing at like 20 miles an hour. He's on the road. I think he's like on the M4 coming out of, it's what the hell is going on that thing? It looks...
What's he playing at? He's like 62, isn't he?
Yeah. I tell you what, though, I used to have such a lot of fun with Matt a few years ago. I used to
Matt
forever...
Great, yeah.
He's a lovely bloke. Yeah. I used to forever pull the piss out of him for his hair and stuff, So I would put on this crazy Dutch accent and say, hey, Matt, you got the product in your hair? It was driving him absolutely mad, which, of course, I loved. It was great. So we should do that again. So, Tony, we know of your tournaments prowess. Are you a cash game player at all?
Useless.
Don't like it.
If I play cash, I've been knocked out of the BCPC league event, so I'll obviously go and play cash. And I think if I've played 20 times, I think I've won twice.
Don't like the cash.
It might be the 8 or 9 pints of Guinness that probably...
Todd said 92.
Caused that. I don't like cash. I don't play. It might sound strange now, but because when I first started playing, I did play because I wanted to win money. I enjoy being in a tournament. I enjoy working myself through all the different scenarios and running deep and watching people. I enjoy that. I don't think cash doesn't appeal to me from that perspective. I don't know. I just enjoy the tournament, playing in a tournament. It's fun.
Yeah.
No, but there's plenty of people that get that feel that way. I think I wrote a blog post years ago kind of saying, cash, kind of the dark side of poker, because it is a different thing altogether. Whereas I always feel with a tournament, you pay your entry fee and there's a prize pool at the end of it, but basically you kind of know what you're committed to, and it's entertainment, and you want to try and outdo everyone starts with a level playing field, whereas with cash you can buy in at different stacks or whatever you want, and players play it different ways. Some will buy in with minimum to try and double up and and build a stack. And I'm with you, Tony. I've never really found it enjoyable.
No. Well, you don't need to play cash. I mean, what was that tournament you won? Was it about 86k or something?
Oh, it's more than that.
It was a bit.
Was it?
Yeah. So yeah.
Over 100 grand, Tony. Over 100 grand.
when you've won that much, you're either going to play high stakes poker and become very rich, or you're going to lose it. But why would you play cash? I mean, it's just not something. It's not something I enjoy. Yeah. Who's this bloody Achilles guy? He's absolutely hammering me. Not liking it at all.
No, I think he's a new player. I don't recognise the name. So
he's literally my Achilles heel.
Oh, very good.
Andres Aquila.
Yeah, he's killing me.
Looks like a good player.
Folded King Jack 2 a minute ago.
Tell me, what's this, Tony, about you saying I haven't played the BCPC for quite a while? Have you fallen out with the group?
Well, no. I love them. I mean, I love the
great
BCPCs as I love the APAT. I mean,
tell us first of all, then, Tony. So you say that, you got an invite from Brian to join. So you'd obviously been playing APAT for a little bit. So you must have known a number of the guys. So tell us, how did they approach you and get you into the BCPC? How did that come about?
That's a good. I think it was an email or a text from Brian. I think Brian must have heard of me through the APAT, and I remember him. I got an email or a text from saying, "Do you fancy playing?" And it's like pub poker, and at that time I'm like King Midas. I'm like just hitting everything. I'm winning loads of money. I'm like, pub league, happy days. I'm going to hammer them. Right, I'm going to go all in here with Mr. Killian. No, I'm going to fold. So I got a text and I was like, "Oh, pub poker, easy. I'm going to win some money there." So I've turned up. I think it was like 12. It's like Matt McKinley, Todd, Steve Redfern, Brian, all accomplished players.
Unlucky.
I was going to say there might be one or two APAT medals amongst them. Yeah,
they invited you in for a reason.
Yeah, but I've turned up thinking I'm like the bee's knees because I'm winning all this money online. I've won a couple of casino events in Dudley, so I'm the king of poker. And Chris Baker was there, a good friend of mine as well. So, but funnily enough, I did win season 1. So fuck them.
So I just want to know. I mean, how does Brian put it to you? I mean, I'm expecting some sort of gold envelope with a sort of secret society that you've been approached, and you need to turn up at this place and give the secret password to get into the BCPC, and they actually have a vote as to whether they let you in, and you could get blackballed and not get selected, or is it just a case of come on in and play?
It was just a case of come on in and play.
No initiation, no sort of capes or anything. No.
There's no clandestine handshakes and stuff. Guys, give us 2 minutes because I need to go for a piss.
No, you carry on. Bring the mic with you.
It's going well, this, Des.
He's hard work, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we can say that when he's not in the room now, isn't it?
He's not around. Just keep it. Oh no, he can hear us. Oh shit, he must be pissing in the corner.
So let me give you a quick rundown where we're at. So Tony busts the squad's game. There's 25 players left in that now, and we're paying top 18, so we're getting close to the money. He's to be honest, he's got a really weird time in the championship because there's 18 players left, of which he is one of them. And they're paying top 16, so he's now using all of his time bank.
Oh no!
While spending a penny.
Yeah, he's done well.
But we are at that point where I think it's now hand for hand anyway. So so it's not going to eat up into anything in the game. We've just lost Lily Tompkinson in 19th place in championship. She's having a couple of decent runs lately. Names players left in the championship. Jared Harrogay's there. Adam Phelan's there. Brandon Stannard, who's picked up medals in recent weeks. Rich Baker's there. John Heath is still there. So actually, that one of those tables is gone. Neville Harrington, who again has been medalist in recent times. Igor Asimov, who's been playing most of the APAT events. Great to have him on board. Airsy's still got chips, as does Tom Clark, and a certain Shug Carney is still still going as well. Tony is now short stack of the 18 remaining players. So
let's watch the magic. Let's watch the magic unfold.
Yeah, I'm back. I was just So I've not been playing online poker at all because it bores me shitless. But I've got knocked out of the stud last week and the main event like really early. So I thought, I'll ship into a $5 rebuy on poker, whatever it's called. And the standard is appalling. I mean, it was like taking money off. It was just so easy to win chips. You know, one bet was taking it down. I mean, the APAT standard that I'm playing in since it started is 2 or 3 rungs up easily. The standards, I mean, massively better than your average. I mean, I've not played for ages. I remember I hadn't played for a while, and I bumped into Steve Redfern in BCPC, and he said the same thing. It's like he's forgot how to play.
Well, and the game's just evolved, isn't it, as well? Yeah.
Oh, he's got a decision here, Lee.
Ace 2.
So, the guys are just saying in the chat. So Paul Haycock says, so Pete Wiggles said, yes, Andy Achille is from London, good player. Paul says, haven't seen Andy play for ages. Used to play at the old international club in London. Played the GUKPTs back in the day. And Pete says, yeah, his brother George is a good player too. So.
Is there any chance that we can ask Paul Haycock about the European Championships in Prague?
Well, he's not on the show because you are.
Yeah, but is there any chance that we can ask him a question?
Well,
yeah, let's dial him up.
Ask him, and he might answer you. You never know in the chat. He's in the chat, so.
Because we finished second. I think I finished second with Duffers in the singles. I think we got a silver or whatever it was. Me and Duffers. Oh, Duffers absolutely battered me in heads up. I think there was 5 left, and all I had to do was like just survive to win it, and end up going mental with this German guy for obvious reasons. And he couldn't win anything, so he was just being mental. And I took him on and ended up getting knocked out in 5th. So I think I finished second in the individual, and the team finished second overall. But Paul Haycock didn't score a point. I'd just like to ask him how he feels about that.
You might not get a response.
Oh, it's a long distance Rob.
I know he's a great player since then, but oh my God, to be fair, he was so useless, but he was so unlucky.
Oh, well, listen, Steve says, when you got to go, you got to go. He says, bladder release. I love his chat. He would be my mate. So there you go, Tony. You have an invite. Paul Haycock does indeed come into the chat box. He says, it's a long time since I've wanted to talk to Tony Trippier. Oh, dear.
I bumped into it just till dawn. He shoulder charged me and gave me this steely look.
What was this, in the car park?
I'm like, you've got to let it go. You've got to let it go, mate. Let it go.
So
they've just posted up the Todd Wood 18th hole video on Facebook. So I've just tagged you in it, Des.
Shit, how can I get that into this?
Well, that's why I tagged you in.
All right, okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. No, I can't put the poke. When are we going on a break?
Well, we're
5 minutes.
We're 5 minutes till the break, and obviously we'll be doing Turbo Millionaire.
We'll
so
see.
You've got a chance.
Bugger.
No, but you can. You can in 5. Well, we're actually nearly at a point of calling for Turbo Millionaire, and then the players will be on a break in 5 minutes. So you've got a 5-minute gap at 5 to the hours.
We will figure.
What's the buy-in to the? How much is the Turbo Millionaire? What's the buy-in?
Did you see?
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. It's it's £50. Tony, but you can play if you want to. You just need to send a payment to Des Duffy.
PayPal.
Care of before you play. That's all.
I've got 4 big blinds. I've got pocket aces, so I'm going to shove.
Are you? That's a good idea. Yeah,
I'd slow play them.
Into Andy's raise under the gun. So
2 off the money. This is where I get knocked out. Obviously, standard. Jack 10. It's like a straight or something.
He's gonna call. That's happening. So 9-7.
I hope he hasn't got Jack 10. 2 10s. Brilliant.
Double up for a trick.
So many doubles.
That would have been hilarious, wouldn't it? That would have been absolutely hilarious. My size would have been splitting.
But you are now. That puts you up to now 16th of 18. So you're just in that safe zone.
I just need another double up, and then I can start actually seeing hands again. I found my style of play that I like to play. I won't say I'm Daniel Negreanu, but I like Daniel Negreanu's style of play. Small ball, see flop, float it, blah, blah, blah.
You do like, I would say, having watched you play over the years, you're very much a kind of post-flop player. You want to actually kind of play poker and actually get involved down the street. Is that how you see your game?
Well, I've never really read books. I think I've learned by watching TV and playing. And I remember sitting at a table and at various tables and looking at various styles, and the guy you don't want to tackle, the guy you don't want to get involved with because he's big poker. I'm like, you should become that player. You should. That's the best learning curve you can become the player that you don't want to play against. But I find it not really my style. But I mean, I got called off the second hand in this event that I'm playing now. I've rivered the nut flush. The guy's obviously got a straight, and he's bet out something like 22k, and I've re-raised to 70, and he's insta snapped me off, and I'm like, it's an easy game, isn't it? If you don't come across that, I'm like, what do you think I've got? Do you think I'm bluffing?
That's the thing with poker. Who knows?
We've lost Christoph there, so we're down to 17. So we are now on the pure money bubble. One to go, so we're still playing hand for hand.
Andy
I
Ackler.
I can't go out on the bubble.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. You're safe.
That'd be horrible.
I see Andy Eckler took 900,000 chips with 7-6. That's the way to play it.
I found the format that's been set up difficult for me because 2 hours, 3 hours in, you've got numerous big stacks and numerous small stacks, and it becomes very shovey. So you can't really see a flop. It's just like, boom, boom. Don't call it bingo. It's better than that, but it's almost like a bingo. People are just shoving huge amounts of chips into the middle with top, and I'm like, they're clearly braver than me. But I think because I'm out of the game so much, I think I'm a couple of pegs behind a lot of the people like. I won't mention names, but there's some good players that obviously outplaying me, and I'm floating around trying to do my thing, and I think they've quickly sussed that I'm probably only putting chips in the middle if I've got it, so I'm not really getting much value.
Nothing wrong with that, no. So Laura Rodden in the chat says, "Oh my God, I hear a bronze stud." She says, "I think most of APAT have forgotten me." Laura, trust me, nobody.
I don't think so.
Ever going to forget you. Matthew Cromwell says, just confirming he is that Tony is a mank.
Yeah.
Pete Wigglesworth says he sounds like Mark Owen from Take That.
Hey, all right, kid.
Andy Coyle says he's Cornish. I don't think he's Cornish. Lee.
I'm from Manchester, but I lived in Rochdale for a bit, and then I lived in Birmingham for a bit, and now I live in Leicestershire. So.
Wow.
So Ant Williams says, Tony, you don't need to tell us you've got aces. He said, heard you ask what the blinds were. Is that a tell then, yeah?
Oh, yeah. That was funny because I think we're halfway through the comp, and I've not played a hand for like 3 levels, and I'm fucking around with my phone and chattering away and drinking. And there's been a raise, and I've looked down at aces, and I've gone, what are the blinds? and then he's just like, oh, really? Yeah, he's never let me. Ant Williams has never let me forget that, and the fact that my big APAT win was called the Pub Championship. I'm like, no, it was an APAT event, and I won it.
Yeah, that's all.
It's a big one as well. There was like 130, 140 players in that event, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Proper MTT, multi-day.
It's a funny story there because Curly's raised me. I think I'm on like 25 big blinds. There's like 20, 30 left, and he's raised on the button. I've got ace jack. So I've just shoved the lot in because I was mental. And I think he's folded ace queen or something. And then literally the next orbit, he's on the button again, he's raised, and I'm gone all in, and he's insta-called with kings. And I've got ace jack again, a bit an ace. And he didn't speak to me for about 5 or 6 hours. He just wouldn't talk to me. And then I went on to win it, obviously, which was funny.
So players on a break as we are 5 to the hour, and that can only mean one thing, Des.
If you do the call out, young Lee, I'm searching on the...
So it's Saturday night. It's Turbo Millionaire. So get Turbo in the chat box if you want to come on the show. Have a go at Turbo Millionaire. Answer 5 questions in the fastest possible time. You've got to beat Alan Horsburgh from Thursday night. After we actually showed his actual Who Wants to Be a Millionaire video, he had a go at Turbo as well, and he got 5 out of 5. So if you want to get involved, pop Turbo in the chat box. We'll pick one of you at random and get you on the show.
Now, Lee, all I can say is I have no idea. I have no idea of the truth that's in this video, but let's see if I can put this on for you. Okay, so we'll turn down Turbo. There we go. And we'll turn up this, and let's see if we can see Todd Wood.
Rubber drops on the floor.
Man, wagging me down.
I think I dropped a fucking coffee bean on the floor in my pocket. Go on, Todd.
3 in the drink, sir.
Feel sick, sir.
No, feel sick, sir. Drink it, sir.
Feel sick, sir.
That's boy, that don't count. Drink this one. Come on, sir.
Can't do that, sir.
You can, sir.
No, try not, sir.
Go, sir. Go,
Feel
sir.
sick, sir.
Go, sir. Go, sir. Go, sir. Go, sir. Go, sir.
It's that clean cut Todd Wood image.
That don't count. That's only Sprite.
Last time I drank it, sir, it's still in my mouth there, sir. Doesn't go down, sir.
Quickly.
Would not be a good idea, sir.
You can have a Malibu if you want.
Have you got a bucket, sir?
Yeah, I got a bucket. Go.
Use the blackjack
Hold
table,
that
sir.
for him. Hold that for him. Go, go, go. He's gonna
There
go.
we go.
No, no. It's coming back.
Oh, it looks borderline as to whether he's going to hurl, Lee.
Sir. I drank it, sir.
Yay!
I didn't drink it all, sir. But I drank it, sir. It's there, sir.
I thought you drank it all. Drink the rest of it then.
Get in there, sir.
Need some Sprite, sir.
Right.
Okay.
Like Steve Davis in his prime.
Not quite there yet, sir. This is last week, sir.
You in 5 minutes, sir.
Yeah, it's all gone, sir. I'm hardcore, sir. What is wrong with me?
Just drink
41
it.
years old.
Just drink it. Go, 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 go.
There we go.
Yay!
Dear, oh dear.
That's right, guys.
High five, sir.
Woo! Yeah!
I don't know, Lee. He struggled a bit to put that away.
He got there in the end.
He got there in the end.
That's what counts.
It was hard work, but he did indeed get there in the end. So,
And obviously,
that was
as is always the way, what goes on in Vegas gets put on an APAT show live 4 years later.
quite right. And why not? And right
That
about...
was 18 holes. That was 18 holes of like double whiskies. It was like
it must be...
I don't even know how they were standing at the end. It was ridiculous. The amount of drinks that we consumed. Well, obviously I left at the 14th hole for obvious reasons because Todd cheated. But,
So Laura's just said we've
has.
been on a pub crawl or strip golf. Was she playing a different game to you guys? Or
Strip
or what?
golf?
Yeah.
I couldn't possibly comment.
I think we need to get Laura on the show. That's what I think we need to do, Lee.
Well, you've got to get Laura on the show.
I
She's
think
got
so.
some good stories.
Well,
We
she
need to
just
get
told
the
me that
truth.
I should be pronouncing her surname Rowden, but I said, well, down here in Dorset, it's far posher. It's definitely Roden. It's
Oh dear, poor Laura. Poor Laura.
Right then, should we get
Let's do
get
it.
a caller on and do this millionaire thing that we do. Yeah, should we?
Let's do it. Who's leading, Lee? Somebody got a good time.
Well, it is Alan.
It's Alan. Of course it is.
It is Alan with
1 minute 40 something.
1 minute 48, I think it was, something like that. Okay. So
I'm gone. Made the money.
Strip golf that involves drinking. I like it.
So Tony's bubbled, unfortunately.
Oh no!
Out in 17th.
Unlucky, Tony.
Hello.
It's Joe.
We should have Joe.
Joe. How's your Saturday going?
It's all right, not too bad. What about you guys?
Yeah, we're fine.
Obviously, as you've been listening in, so you can imagine we're having a really relaxed evening. Yeah, it's just.
So, what do you make of this strip golf? Laura's saying strip golf was the game. We had to have a drink in every bar. We started at 2 p.m. This was at 5 a.m. in the morning. Holy God, they build them tough in the Midlands, I'll tell you.
15 hours of drinking, all these different bars. What I'm wondering is how many of those bars served Laura shots of bubble mix, because that is her tipple.
Bubble mix.
Bubble mix.
Well, I heard Tony was having shots of Tranadol. That's what I heard. Tranadol.
But we now know. Don't do that, kids. That's a bad idea.
That's right. Unless you're playing poker, in which case it'll improve your win rate.
Not after 9 pints of Guinness, anyway.
Now, Joe, let me give you a little bit of a warning here, right? Because I was lucky enough to get invited to by Brian to do a Zoom quiz about 2 months ago with a lot of the BCPC guys, and Tony was on that call. I don't actually think Tony was doing the actual quiz, but Tony was on that call. So prepare for a lot of sideline coaching as we go through this tonight.
Oh no!
Tony may well offer up some suggestions as potential answers.
Oh, I can imagine.
So a BCPC quiz, was it, Lee?
Yes, well, pretty much, yeah.
Did you have to take anything off? I'm just asking for a friend.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of. Okay. Well, it
was a thin bragging that we actually won. But yeah.
Well, listen. Let's get back to conventional Turbo Millionaire. So, Joe, you know the gig, right? You've got 150-50 lifeline. You have got a tough target to beat.
It's 1 minute 43.
1 minute 43. Word. Alan Horsburgh, who, of course, did you see his Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I did.
Video?
Do you know, it's the first time I've ever seen that video.
Oh my God!
Horrific.
He was given the ultimate slow sort of roll stroke bad beat, wasn't he?
Rank, isn't it?
No, awful. You haven't won 32 grand. You've won £1,000. It was terrible, but he dealt with it like the good guy that he is. But let's see how you'll do tonight. So you're looking to bring further bitter disappointment to Alan.
And don't forget, if it's a perfume question, you can technically phone a friend. Yeah, so it's not a problem.
Right, Joe, are you ready? We're going to do this. Okay, time starts on my first question. So, Joe, whose word means to keep quiet and say nothing? Dads, aunties, grands, mums.
Mums.
Say mum. Okay, stay mum. You're right, of course. We're awaiting question 2. Here it comes. In Australia, what word is used for any remote land far from human habitation? Is it hedge, bush, scrub, or wasteland?
Bush.
It would have to be bush. Well done, Joe. That's 2 for 2.
Dickhead point. Boom.
You're across the vagina line. Well done. Here we go. Question 3. Who is best known for her Hollywood musicals? Is it Jodie Foster, Susan Sarandon, Sandra Bullock, or Judy Garland?
Judy Garland.
I think so. Right answer. Okay, 3 for 3. We're going well. Good time. With which of these fashion trends was Ralph Lauren particularly associated? Wide ties, miniskirts, snoods, or flared jeans? 50-50?
Yeah, 50-50.
50-50. Ralph Lauren, wide ties or miniskirts? Lauren.
Oh, God. I'm going to go with miniskirts.
We're going with miniskirts. Oh, it's the wrong one, Joe. Unlucky.
Oh.
Unlucky. It is, in fact, wide ties. Felt for you there. Didn't know the answer. And, yeah, what can you do? Have a go. 50-50 was fair enough. Wide ties. Who knew? You probably needed Jason for that one. He's got a very educated...
quick, Joe, if you could just help us, because Steve 40's just asked a question in the chat. Just wants to know, is Joe and Jason the same person?
Well, that's really funny because I thought he knew what we were, because in the chat box in the poker the other night, he said that we were clearly brother and sister. So maybe he's a little bit more confusing than the other night. Who knows?
Oh, that's hilarious. Laura says ties. I don't know whether that's an exclamation of course it's ties, or ties? I'm not sure. I'm not
Laura,
sure.
Laura will know that stuff.
Would you have known that one, Lee?
Clever lady.
Did you know?
No,
Ralph?
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't have known that one. Would have struggled with that.
No. As I said, Jason is the haute couture man, I think, in the family. He'd have known. His
Helpful to have a brother that knows his stuff.
Yeah, well, absolutely, absolutely.
Can I just ask something while Joe's on?
Oh, do please.
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Because I've not fallen out with anybody in the APAT. The only fallout I've had is with some bird called Shirley Cole.
That's unlucky, I'd say.
That's really funny because I'm her favourite person, Tone.
And she remonstrates that she's Joe's best friend, but Joe told me that I was the best friend.
Oh.
Can we just clear that up online?
Oh, it's like a triangle of intrigue.
And I warn you here, Joe, just in advance to let you know, alongside Vince on tomorrow night's show, we have the one and only Shirley Cole. So anything you say here may well be taken down and used as evidence against you in tomorrow's show.
That's right. That's Shirley Chalk Dust Cole.
I also happen to know that Shirley's out tonight, so she's not listening. So just for tonight, we'll say it to you, Tone, all right?
Oh, fantastic. There you go, Tony. That's your best result of the night. Your first result of the night, it has to be said, but the best one. The best one. Joe, thank you very much for taking part. It wasn't to be tonight.
Cheers,
thank you, Joe.
No, Joe, take care.
Talk to you soon. Take care, bye.
Bye.
Bye, Joe.
That was Joe getting caught out on the fourth question. I think she was doing well for time, Lee. I think she was doing well.
It was really, really quick. But just,
I wouldn't have known that time.
Not to be.
I wouldn't have known that one.
Well, Laura knew. Laura Roden. Laura Roden? Yeah, you know. Laura.
Can I just go back to Lee?
Yeah.
Lee, just to redress the quiz question where I went quiet. So I've got Zoom on, but I've also got we're online on WhatsApp. And
Okay.
it was a horrible delay, and the questions were ridiculously it was like university challenge. So I just ended up muting.
It was Brian. What do you mean?
It was ridiculous. The questions were ridiculous.
Too highbrow for you, Tony. Yeah.
What's the degrees? How many degrees is the Himalayas? You know, as opposed to Mount Everest. It's like, what are you actually talking? Where you got the questions from? It wasn't enjoyable. Who won the league in 1962 or whatever? You know, fair enough. But yeah, it was about 3 levels above my pay grade, the questions, so I just muted it.
I'm with you, Tony. I'd have wanted a Netflix round.
Yeah,
I'd have felt like a guy on Mastermind in the Netflix round.
Yeah, it was just like university challenge. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
No fun.
Yeah, my second favourite quiz of the week. Yeah.
Oh gosh, so Tony is no chips.
Can we just clear something else up as well?
Go.
Tonight's the night.
You're on. Go. Yeah.
Because you won a bronze in the stud, but I also did win a gold in the stud as well. Just wanted people to be aware of that.
A bronze stud always sounds better than a gold stud.
It kind of spoiled the party, but I just thought
that's okay. You just take those compliments wherever you can get them. That would be my advice. So listen.
So we've got 13 left in the championship. So I see we brought up a table. So we'll keep chatting to Tony and then concentrate once we get to a final table. I think of 8. In the championship, there's so much we've not even asked Tony yet, Des. I mean, you've got all your questions.
Yeah,
you've not even touched yet.
I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about religion.
Ah, okay.
What are your thoughts on religion, Tone?
So, when I was 8, my dad came home with some guy called Hayden Rogers, and my dad converted to Jehovah's Witnesses.
Did he?
Yeah, my dad was Jehovah's Witness. So from 8 to 18, I lived the life of a Mormon. I would imagine we weren't allowed to so you can't eat any meat with blood in. So hot dogs went out, and Christmas and birthdays, and it was all doom and gloom because obviously they believe in Armageddon. So if you don't do what you should do the right thing, and live by their mantra, you're going to die at Armageddon. So
Bloody hell.
Oh yeah, it was horrendous. Yeah,
I think we've just tapped into a rich vein of content here, Lee. I hadn't known this. This is incredible. So, how restrictive?
So Jehovah's Witnesses believe. So Jehovah's Witnesses believe that Armageddon's going to come, and when the end of the world comes, all the people that are Jehovah's Witnesses and they're doing the right thing will survive, and they will build a new Eden.
Right.
But it was all like, if you don't do this, you're going to die. If you don't do, it wasn't like God is love. It was about, if you don't do this, you're going to die.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I kind of grew up in that weird. Looking back, it was kind of a cult kind of thing. It's like, because I was like so disassociated from reality because I wasn't allowed to go out and blah, blah, blah. So I ended up going out with a girl called Paula Stokes, and I was seeing her for 2 or 3 years, and her dad was a born-again Christian. So
wow.
born-again Christians believe. Are you glad you asked?
No, I am. I want to stop you and just roll back. I just want to roll back. We're going to come back to Paula, right? I am genuinely interested because my door has been knocked on plenty of time by Jehovah's Witnesses, as I'm sure everybody's door has. And, I'm always nice, but religion isn't my thing, so I'm not interested in having that discussion. In fact, I recall a Jehovah's Witness, two of them ladies, knocking on my door on the morning that Princess Diana died. And, I sort of just getting out of bed, heard the knock, down I went. And they said, oh, it's, what a terrible morning. And, maybe we can come in and pray. And I said, terrible morning, what's happened? They said, oh, didn't you hear Princess Diana's just died? So I closed the door on them and went in and watched the telly, of course. So that's about my, the length of my experience, the breadth of my experience with Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't really understand the story behind them. But I would be very keen to understand how you think your dad got into it at such a deep level. I mean, was he a religious man prior, or was he just generally open to suggestion? I mean, how did he get in, first of all?
He wasn't religious at all. He was like 6'4". He was a mechanic, bit of a hard man. I don't know, because I was only 8.
Yeah.
I don't know how or why he decided that was the path he wanted to take, but he was a zealot. He followed the rules as we did to the letter. It was Kingdom Hall, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, knocking on doors, whenever he could. He wanted to share what he believed, as the Jehovah's Witnesses call it, the truth. But religion is based on an archaic publication called the Bible, which is like, how do we follow those rules? It's just, when I got to 18, I just went absolutely crazy. And as I said, I met this girl called Paula, and I knew a lot of Bible scriptures because I had to.
Yeah. And
the difference between born-again Christians and Jehovah's Witnesses is that born-again Christians believe when you die, you go to heaven.
Yeah.
And Jehovah's Witnesses believe that if you die before Armageddon, you'll get resurrected and you will enter the new Eden on earth. Mm-hmm. So the Bible is a new translation. So I don't know what language the Bible was written in or whatever year it was, but you can imagine that a lot of the writings were lost in translation, so to speak.
God, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can't. So my favorite line when I was talking to her dad was, because they believe that they go to heaven and we believe that you get resurrected. There's a Bible verse where Jesus is on the cross. I don't know if you're familiar with it. He's on the cross, and aside him, on either side, is a thief and a murderer.
Yeah.
And the murderer is talking to him and is asking about redemption and stuff. And Jesus turns around to him. This is in the Bible. And Jesus turns around to him and says, "Truly I say to you today, you'll be with me in paradise," which is kind of a throwaway line.
Yeah.
So the context of that line can literally
blows away
change the whole.
Yeah, blows away the Jehovah Witness argument, doesn't it?
Well, it can change a whole religious belief, because if you move the comma one line, so if I say to you, truly I say to you, comma, today you'll be with me in paradise, it infers that when you die, you're going to go to heaven.
Yeah.
Truly I say to you, today. In the Jehovah's Witnesses Bible, which is the New Translation, their line says, truly I say to you today, comma, you'll be with me in paradise, which is inferring a later date. So just by moving the comma, one word, it changes the whole connotation of your religious belief. And that's like absolutely mad. It's ridiculous.
It seems to me like religion is a little like poker. There are many different interpretations of the game, many different ways to play, and a lot of people it just busts them. Yeah, it's like
it's just ridiculous. It's all about belief ultimately. I mean, there's no mention of prehistoric animals in the Bible, but there's obviously proof of prehistoric animals, because they found and carbon dated the bones. So I would put that to my dad, and my dad would say the devil put them there.
Yeah. Wow. So did you fall out with your dad? I mean, was that a difficult childhood? I mean, it sounds tough.
Yeah, when I was allowed to make my own decisions, I went literally off. I suddenly went crazy. I was going to clubs, coming in at God knows what time. I suddenly found women, and I was obviously incredibly attractive at that time. So
I can imagine. Was that like in black and white? Was that like back in the 60s or something? What?
It was.
Everything was black and white back then, right?
It was a long time ago.
Oh God!
It was the 80s. Yeah, those were the days.
So did you ever reconcile with your dad? Did you ever find like common ground over this, or was it always a barrier?
Yeah, I had a couple. We never really fell out. He wanted me to. It made me into the person I am, I think. I think whether you believe in that or not, I think from a moralistic point of view, it turned me into a nice guy. I cared about people, I was empathetic, I wanted to do the right thing, I wasn't a horrible person. So at the end of it, I think it made me into a good person. Even though I don't believe in any religion now at all, but I think it made me a nice guy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I was a kid growing up, of course, Ireland, right? West of Ireland, a lot of Catholics, everybody went to, it was just the done thing. Everybody went to church, and, it was very formal, dress up, you act properly, it was all of that stuff. But, my mum and my brother and I would, gingerly sort of march halfway up the church and find a pew and do all of that stuff. My dad, who would always souse up and what have you, would always be stuck at the back of the church with the lads having a chat and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, they knew something that I wasn't aware of at the time. It's like I wasn't in on the joke. But yeah, it was a very serious thing. And I can see over the years it's become less and less serious. But never is it more serious than where it causes grief, whether that's at local level in terms of within families, and you've clearly had experience of that, but at global level, right? No, my God says it's this way, and if you don't agree, I'm going to petrol bomb you. All right.
Well, religion is the biggest cause of war in the world, isn't it? I mean, my mum's now, funnily enough, not a Jehovah's Witness. She's a born-again Christian. So I'm like, 15 years of that now, that's wrong. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, how do you know you're right? I mean, you've got some guy, you've got 55 million people living in India, or 105 million people who live in India who are Hindus. So this guy was born, he's grown up believing in, Guru Nana or whatever the bloody called, and he's got a family. He's a lovely guy. He does charity work, but he believes in a different God, and he's wrong. So he's been because of his culture, he can't possibly win, can he? Yeah. He's following the wrong. I mean, I don't know how many gods there are, but you could lead a wholesome life but still follow the wrong God, so end up going to hell. And that's ridiculous, isn't it?
So absolutely right. I think the only way I can get it clear on my head is that, and I, particularly I see this from my mum. So my mum was religious, but she was also a very sensible woman, a very loving woman, right? But she was religious. She believed in God, and she believed you should say your prayers and you should go to confession and all of that sort of stuff. It was all fine. Lovely woman. But I guess the only way that I can, because I was never religious, the only way that I can, write it in my mind is to know that it gave her a lot of pleasure, right? So, in whatever way she took that, right, she believes there was a God and that there was something after and all of that. So, but when that sort of reaches out and starts to interrupt other people's lives, that's where it becomes a bit too much. And talking of similar, obviously the one true God is Trump. And Trump is not making APAT great again. He's making America great again tonight in bloody, where is he? Tennessee or somewhere that just doesn't need this right now, given all of the lurgy that's hanging around the bottom of America. 20 or 30,000 people.
The guy's a misogynist. Is a capitalist misogynist. Is how would he ever got into power? The Lord only knows. Well, that just shows what a crazy world we live in. They've got a megalomaniac in charge of the most powerfulest country in the world. I mean, if you watch him talking, the guy doesn't. I mean, what was all that about? I mean, he put it down as he was joking. He was talking about drinking bleach because it's going to stop the coronavirus. The guy's a moron.
He doesn't seem to have a clue, and yet he's the most powerful man in the world, and he acts like he's the most powerful man in the world, and he wields power like he is the most powerful man in the world. So he's not afraid to do it. The guy is capable of almost anything, I would say. And
that's scary, yeah.
Probably
scary.
Tossing a coin, despite what the numbers say today, on his re-election. He could easily get re-elected. Easily, because, like him or loathe him, his message is simple. And if it gets through your exterior, you become very loyal to him quickly, is I guess, what happens. I do find it scary, but at the same time, when we finish this live stream tonight, I'll probably pull up a pew, no pun intended, and watch a bit of CNN just to see what the scandal is in the lead up to that show, because I dare say there'll be heavyweight demos and all sorts of stuff going off there. It's hard not to watch it. It's like a live car crash.
Yeah, I love to watch. There's a couple of programs I watch on YouTube, but he does like a catch up from the day before, and you watch him and it's like, yeah, like you've just said, this guy's. It's beyond words, but I think what worries me is Biden. Biden got dementia? He could potentially.
He doesn't impress, does he? He doesn't impress. You need another Obama young character with energy and all of that stuff. Biden doesn't impress, and that's part of the reason that it is a 50-50 toss-up. Because surely, if the alternative option was just a strong, clear-thinking man, woman, whatever. I mean, surely Trump wouldn't be in with a shot. I mean, what's your view on it, Lee?
I have to agree with you, but don't call me Shirley. You call me Shirley twice.
I'll be calling Shirley tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to that. I think Lee's gone for a coffee. He's gone for a brew.
Are we? Oh, right.
There he is.
We still doing a poker show? Are we? Yeah.
No, we've become Colbert at midnight. Yeah. Or something.
Religion and politics. It's turned to religion and politics.
There's nothing wrong with that. No. I'm
intrigued.
Yeah, but you know my take on Trump. But at the end of the day, it's democracy, and that's what they vote for. So that's what they get.
It is.
Yeah. And that's it. I would just looking in the chat. Some very amusing grammatical comments in the chat, which are well worth a read. Obviously. Laura's lowered it to talking about jacking off a horse, but that's that's understandable. Yeah. So Phil Coles is campsite, what is very amusing. So Alistair Fowler's just said, this PLO structure is horrid. Average stack is 10 bigs and still 18 players left, and too many rocks. And Brendan Burns says the structure is fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the structure. This is just a case of for whatever reason tonight, players are tightening up. If you're playing an average stack of 10 bigs with 16 players left, it's the players that are doing it. The structures are pretty much spot on.
Structures have been running for weeks. They do a good job.
So Laura says Trump, he's the equivalent of a sneeze, isn't he? So as we are now 9 players left in the championship game, which means we're playing hand for hand because we're one off the final table, and then we will focus a little bit more on that. Alistair says, I'm 4th in chips with 15 bigs. Well, need to knock a few players out then, is the ultimate answer to that.
Are they moaning that they're still in? I mean, unreal, isn't it? I thought I only shoved because I thought I'd made the money. It turns out I was a couple. I was playing in the stud last night, and I had the quad table open at the same time, and the guy, I had a straight, but it looks like the guy's got a flush, so I've bet to fold if he's got it. And then the other tables took over, and as I've clicked fold, it re-raised.
Oh, horrible. Yeah. How have you found those stud games? They've been getting sort of 14, 50 runners on a Thursday night. You enjoying them?
I love playing variants. I mean, No Limit Hold'em's, you're stable, but Omaha and the stud, I just love playing them. It's completely different genre almost, isn't it? It's good fun. It's painful when you've got like half the deck to hit and you've got half your stack in the middle and it doesn't come. I think I finished 9th in the first one. I've done nothing since. I expect to win the studs. It's really weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So John Murray says it's the hands tonight. He says party poker need to deal better hands. Okay. Well, we'll drop him an email and see if we can get that sorted.
Is John Murray still in?
Let's have a look. Yes, he is. He's 6th in chips. Yep.
Bless him. He's old.
Omaha tonight. Oh, isn't he just? He's actually been very quiet, John, actually, in lockdown, just quietly going about his poker business.
He has a bit, hasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Not
really. To be fair, he's not really set the world alight, has he, to be fair?
Well, he's I mean, he used to be good, didn't he? I mean, he used to dominate the game, and I don't know what's good. He's let it go a little bit, hasn't he, over the past few years?
He only makes final tables now.
He just got old, didn't he? That's what happened. Became reticent.
He was, in fairness, he was grey when he was 23. I'm sure he was. He looked refined, though. He looks like a well-refined gentleman. Looks like a moneyed man.
Always well-groomed, John Murray.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, John Murray, but yeah, the John Murray back in the, kind of the early years, especially the Cardiff APAT games. That's where John really kind of...
An interesting story for you, because obviously you know I'm a world champion.
Yes.
What in?
And there's a guy there's a guy near me, and he's a world. Because I moved to Leicester, I moved to Kibworth a few months back, and there's a world champion that lives near me.
Okay, all right. So is it a sporting world champion?
He's the world concussion champion, and he lives just a stone's throw away.
So what is that?
Oh, I like it. Boom, boom.
No, but what is it? What is it, Tony? I don't get it.
Oh, catch
it. He's slow rolling you, Tony. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Oh,
I know all about Lee's neuro-linguistic programming.
That's the only reason we do the show.
It's like you're 8 again, Tony, and he's trying to get under your skin. That's what he's trying to do. I can tell.
I give a lot of shit out, so I expect to get a lot of shit back.
Tony, what do you make of the plexiglass? Would you ever go and play with the plexiglass?
What's a plexiglass?
So, obviously some of the casinos, the card rooms are beginning to open again. There's been lots of images online of players playing with all sorts of plastic devices around them.
Imagine, no. I mean, going to a casino sends shivers down my spine, unless it's an APAT. At the best of times, playing with plexiglass. Oh no! Yeah. Apart from at least the blokes that you sat next to that wouldn't stink as much.
You just see the plexiglass steam up.
But as you've said, have you said though that you go and play because of the social element, and therefore if you take that away, then it's not entertainment, is it? It's not really.
I think what they should do, Lee, is put some holes in the plexiglass like you've got at the bank, for example, so you can talk to the person beside you. That's a good idea, eh?
Well, interestingly, I think Kings have run their first tournament, and I don't think there was a huge amount of kind of control over it. Their first kind of MTTs. They've obviously had that in when they've been running cash games. As we've got an all-in a call on the table we're watching, and that's pretty sick. Dan against Paul, and Paul had the fives and flopped. 5 on the flop, and Dan's hit the straight with the 3 on the river with his ace jack. That's
it's a sick game.
That is horrible, isn't it? We've seen a lot of river cards that have turned a hand. It's yeah, that's not a nice one at all.
So what I've noticed with these tournaments that I've been running for the last few weeks, because it felt a bit bingo-y to me, but a lot of the same players are all doing well all the time. Acer and people like that. Tom, KJ,
you can call him KY.
I've always called him KY. Makes me I can't really go into why, but. But all there's probably like 10, 12 players that consistently run deep in all of the tournaments, and I've been watching them. I'm like, are you just running well, or what is it you're doing that I'm not? What I can't work it out. I really can't.
Well, you've played in the squads. You've played 53. You've been in the money 9 times. But your best cash is $44.
I think a final tabled. I think a final table or 9th in the stud. I think I've had a 5th and 3 or 4 4ths. So I've done okay for an old one that's kind of out of the mix. But I remember when the APATs used to run the tournament, I used to be up there all the time, and I'm trying to work out what I did then and what I'm doing now and what the difference is. I think I'm a bit more reticent now. Bit more. I think the word's nitty. It might be an AIDS thing. I don't know. It might be because I think I kind of see more bogeys than I used to.
So you think you become more negative in your game?
I think I must have done, because I'm definitely not as. Even though I'm happy with what I've done, considering I've not really been playing, I'm not in the loop in the scheme of things. Like I said to you earlier, when I was talking to Steve Redfern, who's one of the best players I've ever played against. Even he said, "I just forgot how to play." You forget, the candor of the game. You become a bit nitty, a bit flop dependent. I've started opening up a bit more, and I think my willingness to take risks. I've seen a lot of players shoving 55 big blinds on a 3-heart board with a jack, and they've got ace jack, and they've got called with like pocket 10s, and they've like doubled up to 300 and something thousand. I'm like, I would have never called that. I would have never called that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you'd be tempted to say, it's a bit like a bike, Tony, and once you get on there for a while, you'll be fine. But actually, the bike is changing shape. It continually evolves, doesn't it? So, I'm sure you said it earlier in the show. I'm sure the game does change. We've had this discussion with a few people.
The standard in the APAT squads and the other tournaments is massively 3 or 4 rungs above. Because I told her I've not played online. I played online because I got knocked out. I just played this other tournament, and the standard was like hugely lower. Yeah,
Brendan Byrne is saying you've got to run well as well, right? It's a very small sample size, which I think is fair enough. That's an absolutely accurate comment. The number of games that we've played.
I was in one of the comps. I don't know what it was. Brendan Byrne was on my table. I think the average stat was about 120k, and he was on about 22k. So I ended up getting knocked out, and I've looked at the results the next day, and Brendan won it. And
it's the trouble with these. It's these young online players. Yeah, these young online players that come in and just go and win these tournaments, these APAT ones. It's really frustrating.
How old is Brendan? Like 22, 23 or something now?
He might not even be that, actually. He could be 20, 21, something like that.
In dog years. He's getting on a bit, Brendan. He must be in his 40s now.
He probably uses a HUD and everything. He's probably got a HUD. He's probably got a Twitch channel and all this kind of stuff going on.
Well, Wigglesworth, Pete Wigglesworth is obviously a good player. I know he likes to play post slot. He was on my table. He wasn't doing very well. Next, I've looked and he's won the bloody Omaha competition. I'm like, what the bloody hell have you two done that I'm not? It's like crazy, but they're obviously doing something right.
Well, guys, we have got a final table, so I just want to give a quick shout-out to who we've got on this final table. So Andy Achille has got 3.2 million in chips. Dan Bonson's got 2.6 million. Adam Phelan is there with 2 million. Jared Hargay's got 1.6 million. Alan Brady, 1.4 million. Brandon Stannard with 880,000. John Heath's there as well with 520,000. And Paul Taylor, short stack with 275,000. Good luck to all 8 of you.
Adam Phelan's going to win that. It's the class player, BCPC.
So tell us a bit about Adam then, Tony.
Well, I met Adam. He's a Manc lad, one of the nicest guys I've ever met at BCPC. Really good, really mixes his game up. He doesn't do, he's not got a pattern. When I used to play a lot, you recognise people's patterns and stuff, and he definitely knows what he's doing. He's a really good, really good player. I'm surprised he didn't get picked to play for England at some point. To be honest, I think he's that good.
Wow. Yeah, well, there's plenty of them in that mix. So, whilst we're talking BCPC, so who would you say is the best player, or maybe because we often ask the best players. Let me ask, who's the one player in BCPC you wouldn't want to play against?
Well, Brian does a lot. Does a lot of the he does a lot of rankings, so people have won the most money, most cashes, won. There's like a league table, and the top 3 in that league table is Uncle Fester, Todd, and me, and I think we kind of share.
So basically, it's you, a member of the Addams family, and a cheat. Is what we're saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and a cheat. Yes.
I tell you what,
we can't bring that up. Yeah, if you look, you can only measure, I guess, on stats, I guess, can't you? Who's won?
Well, I don't. But I don't think you can, Tony. Because so my view would be I mean, stats are obviously important, and then today that's how we keep score with cashes, isn't it? In the world of poker, but I was more curious to know who is it you don't like to play against? Who do you think's got your, kind of understands your game and actually is a horrible person to play against because you always think, you don't know where you're at with them or something like that? And that isn't always necessarily the best player. It's just for you personally. Who is it? Yeah, who is it that actually?
That's a good question. So I call it the fifth factor.
Yeah.
The fuck it factor.
Yeah.
So anybody that's willing to put you under pressure for all your chips at any level. It could be 20 minutes in and he's happy to put all his chips in. And it's like, shit, I don't want to play against you. So they're the kind of players that I don't want to play against. They're not reticent at all. They're just, I mean, he's called Matt. What's he bloody called? I can't remember his bloody name now. But we've organised an online league, and he played exactly the same way. He just played like a maniac, like he's hit a set. I've got queens, he's got jacks. He ends up winning the hand. I folded like on the flop, and it's that kind of player. They will just, and that's the player that I think I used to be. I was the guy that said, "There you go, that's for your tournament live," and it's that kind of player that I don't want to play. Dale Dale
Marconi.
Yes, I know.
Macarilli.
Macarilli.
He's a fucking maniac. Yeah, he will shove all his chips in. And Jack Hipkiss. So there's a hand. So I'll give you an example. So we've played a hand. So my computer fucked up. It wouldn't load up Poker Stars. I've spent my mates like a computer.
We've brought that in since APAT of working with Party Poker, so we've got that for a lot of the players now. Where it won't load Poker Stars, so that's something we've brought that in.
We spent about 10 hours. It was working for 5 or 6 weeks, and then Brian's Liam's organised a Premier League and an online league, and I can't play it, and the computer won't play it, and I think we spent about 10 hours downloading and uploading and reinstalling. It was an absolute fucking nightmare. So Todd's brother-in-law sent me a new laptop to use. So I've set it all up.
Wow,
that's probably reading your cards
for you, isn't it? Yeah.
Mate, well, actually, you might be right. So going back to the people that you don't want to play against, Jack Hipkiss is one of these guys.
Yeah.
So the league. So I've like messaged Tom and said we've been to so much trouble. I'm bound to be the first out. It's just like going to happen. So we're only like level 2, 10k. I've gone down to 8.5k. Not happy, just getting bullied, losing hands. So I just call with pocket nines, and it comes King 9. I think it was King 9-8, 2 spades. Big blind leads out for 500. Jack Hipkiss call, so I've got like 8k back. So I'm like, I'm just closing this down. I don't want any part of this. So I've shoved all in, like 300 big blinds, something ridiculous. And Jack Hipkiss just snaps me off. And I've got the nuts at this point. And he's got Queen 10 of spades, and the 2 of spades comes, and I'm out. And I'm like, ouch. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, it's going to happen.
You're calling this in.
Yeah, how can you call that? Because I might be shoving with a flush draw that's better than that. So that kind of guy that's happy to shove 300 big blinds in, I don't want to play against that kind of guy.
I tell you
so
what.
Jack Hipkiss and Dale Macarilli are the kind of people that you can't float them. They're just constantly betting it. And I know
but they're in a situation, that type of player is going to either bust early or run very deep, aren't they? There's no middle ground with those style of player, because
exactly, and Dale
because they're going to get looked up, a reasonable percentage of the time, and going to get found out or walk into a monster hand. So they are the type of player that will do it. But interestingly, when we had Gaz Howard on the show, he said a similar thing. Is that's kind of how his style of play is. I mean, James Leigh said exactly the same, but said his game has now developed. That he used to be that player where he would either bust early or go deep, and now he's not.
Yeah, I'd put Gareth in there. I think when I first started playing, I think I was successful because I was that type of player. I'm the guy. I wanted to be that guy that you don't want to be in a pot, because what you've got to. I think the successful poker player is a player that makes somebody uncomfortable. It's not a bet I really want to call. It's not, they make you they put you on the back foot all the time, and that's a successful poker player. So I guess, I would definitely call Gareth as one of those where even though you might have hit 2 pair and there's nothing that looks like it's beating you, it's still half your stack to call, and you're like, what have you got? I think I'm winning.
And so tell me this. So obviously you enjoy the social side of it as well. So if you could pick one person from the BCPC to have a night drinking with, who would it be?
Oh God, I don't think I could pick one.
I tell you what we should do, Lee. We should put him into the quiz. Do you want to do the quiz, Tony?
I don't think I could pick one person, because different people bring different things to the table.
This is the drinking table, yeah?
Yeah, well, obviously that's APAT. For me, social is an anagram of getting pissed. It just doesn't fit quite.
I think you should do the quiz, Lee.
Okay.
I mean, there's lots of people in the APAT that I just love hanging around with. I mean, John Murray's one of them. He's a strange guy from my perspective, but maybe he thinks I am. I don't know.
Listen, Tony, we had Gaz
Let's
on
do the quiz.
many weeks ago. Do you remember, Lee, when Gaz was on? It feels like
yes.
It feels like months ago now. It feels like months ago. And we asked him a few questions. They were a little awkward, but he manned up and he put all of the right answers out there. At least they were the right answers for him. So this is a quiz that you can't possibly go wrong in unless you don't man up and put the answers out there, like you just did with Lee's question, right? So let's just preempt the quiz.
Don't mess with BOOZE, 'cause that spells booze, and you're gonna lose with Mr. Booze.
Oh yeah, baby. Okay, Tony.
So scared?
We've got a few questions. We've got a few questions for you on BCPC, okay? So, first question, you've got to be honest now. You've got to be quick, no messing about. So, who is the worst dresser amongst your BCPC chums? Who's the one that just doesn't get it?
It's got to be Brian Yates.
It's got to be Brian Yates. Brian Yates of the White Leather Jackets England fame. That was an easy one. That was like, it's the correct answer, by the way. Okay.
He'll kill me. He'll kill me for that.
Who is the aggro one? Who immediately turns to aggro when things go wrong?
You mean physically?
Not necessarily physically, but you just know they're moping and they're unhappy and they're just not taking it in the right spirit.
Oh God. I never. Jake Poxton.
Jake Poxton is the aggro one, Lee.
He can be a bit angsty.
That's all right. That's fair enough. It's all good information.
I think it was a few years back, and I was like giving it bants and giving it bullshit. And I think I pissed him off, and I think he offered me outside.
Oh no way! You're kidding? Wow, okay. Really? Oh, that's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Just whilst we're going through this, Paul Taylor's just bust Adam's aces with Jack's Jack on the flop. So. That puts Paul. Well, Paul was one of the short stacks when he joined this final table.
It's such a sick game. To win a competition, you've got to get so lucky.
Yeah, you do have to have run well, or not run bad, isn't it? You don't necessarily need to get lucky.
However good you are, you've got to get lucky.
You just need to avoid the bad luck. If you can avoid the bad luck, then you'll do okay against you. That's the way to look at it.
Yeah, Jake Poxton got angry. I mean, I'm good friends with Jake. He's a good lad, but I think he just misunderstood my bants and offered me outside. So
it happens.
We went outside.
You've got. Did you bloody cold out there?
I knocked him out, and at the end of it, yeah.
Oh, fantastic! Who thinks they're God? Right? Who's the ego?
Who's the ego? God, that's a good question.
There's got to be one. There's always one.
Who's the God? They're all pretty good guys, you know.
Yeah, they are actually. I mean, you've got a good bunch there, I have to say. These aren't. I didn't say they were easy questions, right?
God, can we come back to that one?
Yeah, okay. It's not going to get easier though.
I would have to say, I think if you got 20 people at BCPC and asked that question, I think the higher percentage would be me.
That's a good answer. It's a safe answer, but it's a good answer. Yeah. Okay.
Probably me. I probably think I'm a lot better than I am. Yeah.
There's nothing at all in what I've heard over the last close to 2 hours now that suggests to me that you have an ego. I have to say.
Really?
No.
Do you know who he is?
I know.
Do you know who he is?
I've been so disappointed with that part of tonight's show. It's just coming across as just a nice bloke.
I've no idea, Tony.
Where did that line come from, Lee? I don't even remember.
No, I absolutely
could have come from anywhere.
I don't think it was even you. I think it was somebody on the forum years back commented or will have mentioned you, and somebody will have gone, "Well, who's that?" And then it's piled in with, "Would you not know who that is?" kind of thing. And so I think I think that's where it probably stems from more than anything. I certainly don't think it stemmed from you, that's for sure.
No, I've got 2 left. I think the next one you might have covered off. Best potential. So maybe not necessarily the best player today, but who do you think is the best potential? And maybe you've already covered this one, but...
Oh, God, these are tough. Because they're all kind of stalwart, so they've already kind of realised the potential. I don't think anybody's come along that's maybe think, oh, I don't want to play against you.
No whippersnappers learning from them.
Well, you mentioned Adam, who I guess is somebody that's been consistent for a while, but hasn't actually yet kind of.
He's won a lot of BC. He's won a lot of BCPC stuff and subsidiary comps that we play. He's probably not realised his potential from an APAT perspective, but when we've got new players in, I'm not sat there thinking, oh, you know, you're the next me kind of thing.
I take back the ego thing.
Yeah.
I can't answer that. Somebody's kind of. I've sat.
You're telling me you've not sat across somebody and gone, "You're the next Steve Redford."
I tell you,
the next Uncle Fester.
I'll tell you. There is a guy. There's a young lad. He's got. Because I'm drunk, I can't remember his name. We went to Ireland, and he's a really, really good player. Oh, but I cannot remember his name. If you can put it out there, he's a young lad, and he's got black hair, little skinny thing. He's a good player. Yeah, him. But I cannot remember his name.
Who is he?
One of the guys might.
Young lad, black hair, skinny.
Really bad. It's really, really bad because I am drunk now, so I can't. My memory's absolutely horrendous. But yeah.
Apparently his name is Lol. Is that the one, Lol?
Lol.
Maybe not Lol.
No. I think somebody's writing Lol because I can't remember his name.
Ricky
Buckland. Ricky Buckland.
Ricky Buckland's going to be a really good player, yeah.
Well, he's already won, in our Worlds out in Vienna last year. So, yeah, he's had some success. But I'd agree with you. I think Ricky's got very... good.
Ricky is an absolute diamond. We went to Ireland together as a group, and he's a lovely lad, and he's a really good player. Him is a guy that I think is going to do stuff.
So decision here on Adam, who's using his time back to think about it, and decides to fold in the end. Andy had raised it up.
Could have been anything with Andy, I think. So last question, right? To see if you win the quiz. You're walking out of the club with a bunch of the guys, and your hands in your pocket. You've got 40 quid in there, right? It's got to last you the rest of the week. And somebody asks you for 20 to get a taxi home, right? Who are you going to give your last 20 quid to?
Oh, Todd Wood.
Todd Wood. Brilliant.
I love Todd Wood. Brilliant. Todd Wood is one of my probably is my best friend. Todd Wood is hugely popular everywhere he goes. He's funny, he's clever, and I wouldn't give him the last 20, I'd give him the last 40. He's absolute diamond, Todd Wood.
Yeah, well said. That's lovely, because it definitely sounded like it sounded like you two had fallen out a bit over the cheating episode, but clearly not the case.
No, no, it was just a joke more than anything else.
Do you remember, Tone? Do you remember our train journey back from Blackpool a couple of years ago?
Well, how weird was that?
Have you heard this story? Des?
No.
Go on, Tone. I'll let you tell.
Shoot.
The story.
Well, we were obviously playing in the tournament, and we were all going home the next day, and we all meet at the station and take our seats, and Lee just looked at our ticket stubs and he went, "Oh shit, I'm sat next to you."
So we got on the train from Blackpool to Preston, and we then gone from Preston to somewhere else, to Wolverhampton maybe, or something like that. So we got as far as Wolverhampton, having said cheerio to each other kind of at Blackpool, and then we're at Wolverhampton waiting for our connections again, and we've all got reserved seats.
Right.
And And so I go to sit down. It was Thursday, so I'm now doing Wolverhampton down to Southampton. I must have been doing, and literally I've got Todd and Tony opposite me, and Steve Roderick sat next to me.
The worst thing about that is that Lee was literally crestfallen. Like it was sat with him.
Gutted. Space for his laptop gone.
Genuinely was like, I was like all chilled out, and cracking weekend in Blackpool.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Have I managed to sit next to you for the next?
But we actually had a good journey back, didn't we? It was good fun.
Of course. Yeah, you couldn't write it, could you? To be fair,
no, it was brilliant.
It was a bizarre.
So we're down to 5 players, and the guys are on another break as we're 5 to another hour. As time is absolutely flying by. We've lost Alan Brady in 6, so 5 left. So Adam is still in there. Who was your pick for this, Tony? And Paul Taylor has gone from short stack when we started this final table to second in chips at the moment. Paul's a very good player.
Done well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's lots of good players in the APAT, that's for sure.
Yeah. And we're down to 4 in the squads Omaha with a certain Mr. Ian Eyre chip leader at the moment.
Wow.
He's a legend.
Well done. Yeah.
He's a legend, Ian Eyre.
He's in the chat box. I'm sure he's in there. He was in there earlier for sure. Good guy, Ian.
He's a great guy. He's good. He's a bit of a nutter, but
there is a guy that loves a pint.
Yeah,
loves a pint. He did our Turbo Millionaire one night. I'm sure he'd had a few on. I'm sure he'd had a few, and he just breezed through the questions. It was just fantastic. Breezed through them.
Like I was saying to you earlier, it's difficult to pick one person that you would want to be with because there's lots. I can't even put a number on it. You go out for a smoke in the area, and there's always somebody there to have a chat to. Jer's a legend.
Oh yeah,
Jer's great fun to talk. I love talking to Jer. He's a sage.
Yeah.
Information. It's just I don't know what it is. You definitely created something that's wonderful. I think it's just good fun. I just enjoy turning up and playing and interacting and having a drink.
I'm tempted to think that one of the things we did right at the start was we sort of said, "This is our tour, and we're not going to have any bullshit on it." It's going to be a place, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And, if people want to come and have a bit of fun and, come back, they're entitled to enjoy the experience and not have it ruined by nonsense going on all over the place. I think that just encouraged people to come again. And, of course, you get to know people, right? It's friendly. So, it's worked out far beyond our wildest dreams, I'm sure.
Airsy's just said in the chat, said, on it now, cloudy apple and rum chasers.
Oh, nice. Nice.
on a Saturday night. Ryan said, away the mob. When's Airsy making an appearance as a guest? Just got to get that booked in.
It'll have to be early in the week. It'll have to be early in the week, like on Monday. We need a Monday show, Lee.
Well, you think his Monday's his day? Monday is day of rest.
I'm hoping it's a day of rest, day of recovery.
How long's APAT been running? For now?
Well, our first event was in September 2006, so we launched in August. So 14 years, 14.
So the only running I've ever had in an APAT is with Shirley about being Joe's best friend.
She'd have an argument if she was anyone in the room, wouldn't she? She's a nasty sort, isn't she? Really?
I love Shirley.
Yeah.
Won't have a bad word said against Shirley.
Oh well, it's going to be trouble tomorrow night. I can imagine.
I might have to join the chat.
I would too. I think it'll be great. What
was it? I think Vince described it. He said, yeah, they've brought me on with my parole officer.
I'm thinking the police jokes should be just worth it.
Yeah. So that's the plan, guys. So anyone that doesn't know, so Sunday nights are going to pretty much become APAT takeover nights. So we're going to get two people on that kind of know each other and kind of have a bit of banter, and pretty much it's sort of going to become kind of their show, Des, isn't it? Really, as we end the week with the the culmination of the squads and the Sunday roller. Very much, we're kind of looking for those people to come on and
absolutely
kind of take over that show a little bit, really, and make it their own. So looking forward to that.
We did it for the first time
How have you two guys dealt with the lockdown then? Have you?
Oh, he's trying questionnaire. Did you see that? He's turned it on us. We've got to get Tony on a lockdown show. He shows that, quality to be the presenter. Fine.
Well, can I just tell you a story? Because I was really pissed off because I love movies. I love going to the cinema.
Yeah.
One of my favourite things. So I managed to go to the cinema and managed to get myself kicked out for bringing my own food in. They literally kicked me out for bringing my own food in. I mean,
during lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I've not had a barbecue for ages.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Well, it's funny if I was said to Des before we came on air. I said I just had an email the other day saying cinemas are opening beginning of July, which is going to be a bit weird.
Yeah,
I don't quite know how they're going to make that. They're going to make that work. I'm not really sure.
That is going to be strange, but not as strange as Phil Coles' favourite moment of last year. His favourite APAT moment was when the dealer on our table completely berated Earsley for not speaking in English. Quite right too. Quite right.
Who's that?
Well,
who said that?
Phil Coles said that. So in air was on a table.
Who is he? Who is he?
Who is Phil Coles? Well,
is he?
He is a Liverpool berating APAT player, fan of Chesterfield and Everton.
He's an also ran.
Oh, I feel some banter going on there.
Oh dear, Phil, come on in. We'll put you head to head with Tony Trippier.
He literally wrote, "Who is he?" I mean, seriously?
Yeah. I think did he
write it at the top? Oh right, okay.
Yeah. I think lockdown.
How many bracelets have you won, Phil?
Oh, poor Phil.
Yeah, I think lockdown's been. Yeah, I mean the show I think has been probably as good for Des and myself as it has been for those that are watching. We've had so many nice comments from people saying how it's just kind of helped them and given it. Yeah, loads of honestly. Loads of comments from people that just appreciative of it. So
that's good.
Like a Jesus thing. Do you feel like Jesus?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm Jesus. Leigh is Mary Magdalene. Let's just get
Seriously, this casting is just shocking. I mean, the other day I was Batman to his Robin. I mean, I was okay with that.
Do I still have that tune? I never know with these buttons, Leigh. I never know what I'm going to get when I hit the button. Shall I hit the button? I don't know. It could be Batman. Oh, boom. Still there. Dear. Do you know, I was practicing an intro because I do that. And my little recently shorn of her hair daughter. Yeah, this was last Saturday night, I think. She walked in and I'm doing this thing. And of course, over the last few weeks during lockdown, she's now watching kids' YouTube videos on TV. So she does that a little bit. And now she wants to be a blogger, right? So I put the headphones on her head and I gave her the mic and I said, okay, Gwen, this is what you've got to say, right? So welcome to the APAT show. It's Super Sunday, whatever it was. And this is what she came up with. I hope this is on the button. I hope it's not gone.
Hi, everyone. And welcome to the Super APAT show.
It's not bad.
Why are we not just using that?
I know.
That's just the greatest.
So cute.
That's brilliant. How old is she, Des?
Oh, she's 6. She's 6, but she wants to be a blogger at the moment.
There's a career in that.
I think there is. Yeah, I think there is.
Yeah, you've got to get her doing a little ditties, get her in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I want to hear her say, Tony Trippier, who is he?
Bronze stud. I don't think so, Tone. No. Can't go there. Oh, dear. Oh, it's so funny.
So this is kind of, we've got sort of reasonable stacks here now. 45,000, 90,000 is the the blinds, and so Adam is the short stack with but he's got 1.3 million, which is, you know, it's still nearly 15 bigs. So none of them have really got an issue at the moment. It's just whether anyone's going to push on and get a bit of momentum and try and get this down to a final 3. But we are at that point where, to a lot of these guys, Tony, medals will matter. Yeah,
medals will matter.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you're measured from an APAT perspective. Steve Scouse constantly berates me. I mean, I'm surprised he's not been on giving me shit.
They've been very
about
good.
How many medals I've got?
Yeah,
I think he's got more medals than me now, Steve. Yeah, but he's not got a bracelet. He's not got a bracelet. Yeah,
no, he did. He did get a bracelet, didn't he?
No, he won a Worlds. So yeah, he's got a bracelet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
That's it.
Did he nearly scoop 2, Lee?
Oh, yeah. I think he got close. It was up in Manchester. Let's not talk about that.
We'll cut that bit from the show, Tony. Don't worry.
I mean, we do have a situation where his latest medal's not arrived in the post yet, so we think it's got lost. So we may be sending him another one. He did say we'll just. He said. I said we might have to send you another one out, Steve. He went, yeah. He said if if it eventually turns up, I end up with 2. He said I'll just hang on because I'll probably win another one.
Oh no.
He shoved all in last night in the No Limit Hold'em squads game with Queen 4 when I've got Kings and Queen on the flop, 4 on the river, obviously. Yeah, still managed to finish 4th, but he's so lucky.
But to be honest, you know, I mean, you just don't play against Liverpool fans this season because they're just winners. They're just winning everything. So just leave them be.
We'll take it. It's been a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
We haven't talked about the football show tomorrow yet, Lee.
Is that are we?
No idea, mate. No idea. I'm getting a bit of cold feet, I have to say. I think the Wednesday one was brilliant for a first effort. Really happy with that, and the numbers were great. Surprisingly,
I think we'll. I think we'll let you. We might let you have the Liverpool Merseyside derby as a.
Yeah, I'm tempted to think I might shout. I might shout very, very loud down the microphone.
Although I was okay with I was all right with the United game last night. I was quite chilled watching it. It is weird. I think Steve Redfern said it the other day when watching. It's just something really weird about the atmosphere of watching the games. It's quite a struggle. It's quite a struggle to kind of get up for them.
Well, I was going to assume,
and obviously for United there's a lot at stake.
Well, yeah. Now I was assuming because I thought the United game was pretty good. I have to admit, I watched. I watched the City game.
Tottenham were poor second half.
I thought they were very poor. I thought United were well on top, but just couldn't get over the line. Very unlucky, I think. But I have to say, I'm sort of assuming that tomorrow evening, it doesn't matter to me whether there's a crowd there or not. I'm going to be.
Well, the point is, it's the Merseyside derby, but actually, obviously, it would be different if you could have won the title. But it's just another game towards it, isn't it? And the reality of it is, if it's not this one, it's going to be the next one. If it's not the next one, it's going to be the one after. But it's a bit of a case of just wanting to get it won. But I'm sure there's a game you'd like to win the title.
Well, let's face it. If we don't get a result at Goodison, or if it's a draw, for example, and let's say we draw against Palace, then your next game up is away to Man City. So I suppose that'd be a glorious one to win it, but it'd also be a horrible one to not win it in. So if we're still up for grabs, we had the chance to win it there, and they beat us. Which I mean, they're that good. I thought they looked very good against an admittedly poor Arsenal team. They could certainly beat Liverpool in a one-off game, certainly, and. If you have that sort of 2 draws and a defeat in your first 3 games back, it's all a bit damp. So obviously, I still believe we'd get there. I don't really question that, but it could become damp very quickly. So what I'd quite like to see happen is Klopp sort of target the players. We're trying to get 100 points, and so that there's a target beyond the 6 points.
I think if the season had carried on as it was as normal, I think you might well have got to the 100. I think the reality is this whole lockdown and everything else, I think, will distract Liverpool from it, and your focus will very quickly turn to right, this is pre-season for next season now, and using it to your benefit, because ultimately once it's won, as Klopp has always said, it's about winning it. It's about the silverware. The silverware. The points is all lovely and the record is all lovely, but actually it's not about that. And if he is looking at it and going, well, actually, we've won it now, trophies in the cabinet, right, our focus is now on doing it again next year. Ultimately, you are in a very strong position to hit the ground running next year, whereas other teams could be playing
Champions
Europe
League and
Champions League
stuff.
and playing for fourth or fifth or or a European place, and whereas you've got the ability to go, right, okay guys, let's use this as pre-season, because I think it will be a fairly quick turnaround to get a season.
Oh, it will. I mean, without doubt, it'll be like 2 or 3 weeks, no more than that, I would think. So a little bit of chatter coming in the box on this one. Chris Hyam saying, at least Liverpool fans don't mention when they're winning. Getting it quietly, I'm not sure that's entirely true. But Chris is a good red as well. Brendan says, sing when you're winning, Des. Quite right. Yeah, it's been a while. And Asa says, surely you'd like to be clapped onto the pitch as champions by City. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to win at Everton. I would love to win at Palace, and it's done. That would be nice. But while I do agree with you, Lee, I think there's every chance then that Klopp will start to think, right, how do we optimize the rest of the season?
Because he's a good manager.
Very smart manager.
He is going to look at it and just go, right, let's do the right thing here.
I know enough of him that he's very competitive, and I think he will pick his teams in such a way to both meet that requirement to be fit for next season and to get the points.
Any 11 you put out is going to still be strong, but it won't be your strongest.
It won't be the strongest. 11, no, God, no.
And ultimately, it will give the opposition a chance.
But if you look at Klopp's selections, particularly in midfield, he very, very rarely picks the same midfield. And even though it's only a 3-man midfield, he regularly changes it up. So my only concern is I don't think he has the striking variation to offer a huge amount of danger.
So interesting hand there with Dan Bonser.
Here we go.
Made a little value bet, and they've both been at it again now and got it all in the very next hand. But the first hand was Andy with ace 3, and he'd gone runner for the straight, and then very next hand queens against ace king, and Andy gets the better of that as well. So we're down to 4 now. And we now have a reasonable chip leader here, Tony. Yeah, so...
Is Adam still in?
Yeah, Adam's still in. Adam's got shorter stack, but not huge short stack. But obviously, now this is where the situation where you would expect the chip leader to go at all 3 of them, looking to try and put himself into such a strong position when they get heads up or down to 3-handed that actually it kind of dominates the final play. So we'll see how this plays out. We're 3-handed in the squads game as well. Luke O'Neill, another of these young internet guys. Kevin O'Hanlon, I think, just plays online multi-table.
Whipper snapper, 37 tables with his hood up.
At least, yeah. And Ayres's still in that one as well.
Great. So Chris says, amazing manager. He's talking about Klopp now. Without a doubt, not sure why it took as long as it did to improve goalkeeper and defence. I think that comes down to the fact that the club has been very prudently managed by the owners. They have not spent a lot of money. Coutinho going out freed up the funds to invest in Alisson and Van Dijk. So,
Tony, are you a football follower or not?
Well, I was born in Salford, near the Manchester United ground, so I've been a Man U fan since I can remember.
But not. I asked the question because I couldn't honestly remember who it was you support, because you're not really, or don't recognise you being necessarily vocal about it that much, or are you? And I just don't notice.
I find. For me, football doesn't quite have the passion it used to have when I was. It's very corporate now. I mean, I do watch it, but I remember watching United, and when they got beat, it hurts, and now it's like okay, it's a bit of an aside. It's like okay, whatever. It doesn't bother me that much. I think the only painful football. It literally hurts me is England. I love following England, Premiership, it's a bit corporate for me now, to be honest. I can take it or leave it. I can take it or leave it. So, you know, when Liverpool do win, really not bothered that much, to be honest. So,
no, I think that's fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. I think what you might find is when United come back again, as undoubtedly they will, and who knows, you know, whether that'll be 1 season, 2 seasons, but it's going to happen. That's when a lot of I think United fans will suddenly, you know, it'll relight their passion. It's been a very fast and sort of difficult last 7 or 8 years. Right, it goes quickly, doesn't it? It's like
I do follow it and I do enjoy it, but the word that you said is, you're right. I'm not passionate about it, but I am passionate about England.
Yeah,
you know, it absolutely physically bothers me when England don't do well, and especially when you know, I've been watching a lot of the old games and the bloody. Why I'm watching them, I don't know. The penalty shootouts.
Oh, well, they've been showing them all, haven't they, over the past few weeks? Yeah,
I'm watching them going, I know we lose this. Why am I watching this again? It's like opening up a cut, isn't it? It's like, why?
Yeah. There was a study done. I read about it last week at Oxford. I think it was at Oxford Uni, where they studied deeply passionate football fans, and apparently the stress levels involved in being deeply passionate about a football team are enormous. They're enormous. And I suppose if you think of the instant reactions to goals, no goals, penalties, whatever it might be in a match, the highs and lows, you know, while you walk out happy or sad or whatever, but the actual swings during the thing are enormous.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I just don't feel that way about the Premier League. And I enjoy watching it, and obviously I'm happy when we win, but I can't say I'd be ecstatic if we won it. But England, you know.
Yeah. Do you think, talking of England, Tony, do you think the Euros, obviously delayed for a season, we know why. Do you think is that a good or a bad thing for England?
I think it's a bad thing. I think we're ready for it, but then I'm a bit delusional about England, as I'm sure a lot of people are. I think we think we're a lot better than we actually are.
I don't know. Qualifying form was good.
I think we're ready. I think we're ready to win it, but then I think I've been saying that for like 30 years. So
I would imagine, you know, if you could find a central defensive partnership that you could just rely on. Because, you know, you look at John Stones, he looks like a decent player, but you just know he has a moment. They all seem to have moments where it can go wrong. I think you're in decent shape at a full back. I think there's a lot of reserve strength as well. It's just centre back I'd be a little concerned about. Midfield, fine. Attack looks very, very pacey. I think it's a very decent England squad.
So just on the championship game, we are down to our final 3. We lost Dan Bouncer, Bonza in 5th place. Adam Phelan, unfortunately, out in 4th, which means we have a final 3 of Brandon Stannard, Andrea Sekilia, and Paul Taylor's our current chip leader. So Brandon's going for another medal. I think he finished 3rd in this in week 2.
Great.
And I've got a funny feeling he might have also picked up a medal in the PLO as well at some point in the past few weeks. But definitely finished 3rd in this event. So looking to try and go one better than that on this particular series. So good luck to all 3 of them.
So what are they doing? How are they consistently winning? What's their strategy? What are they doing that I'm not? I can't work it out.
Why are you not winning medals? Yeah.
Why? Is it because I'm drinking copious amounts of gin and tonic?
I think somebody...
It could be, yeah.
Somebody, the secret's in the chat box. I'd have to go back quite a while. Somebody wrote it in the chat box. I think they said something like, they're better than you. It was really cold and hard, which is why I didn't say it at the time, but they're better than you. I think it was something like that.
Well, I've come to that realisation, I think. I think I finished 4th in the comp last night. And somebody wrote something Basically, what you've just said. You know, you just. Actually, I wrote not bad for a has been, and it got a lot of likes, which I didn't like.
Oh no! Yeah. Well, I said it in jest, Tony. I have to say, you know, I don't think your has been at all.
Yeah, so Chris Lloyd has just confirmed. Yeah, Brandon got third in the Omaha a few weeks ago. So I was pretty sure I'd seen. I just hadn't gone to check the records on that one, but I certainly knew that he'd come third in this. So yeah, so Brandon's going to pick up his third medal of this series. It's been 2 bronzes so far, and he'd love one better than that. I'm pretty sure.
Well, you just know
you can't beat a good bronze.
I was going to say, you just know in the night that's in it, it's going to be another bronze. Come on, Brandon, break the mold.
The thing is, if he's got a third one, then I mean that's pretty much your Christmas tree decorations done, isn't it? Really, because you know 3's enough to decorate a Christmas tree, isn't it?
Are these virtual medals, or do you actually send out an actual?
Oh, we send out. They get a virtual medal on the night, and then a real one goes out in the post as well. So.
Oh well, now I know that. Then I'm definitely going to win. I'm going to have to win another one then.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer we will. At some point we will bring this series to some sort of conclusion where we'll do something with the leaderboard. I've got a few ideas. A few people have asked along the way what we're going to do, and ultimately, you know, we put it out there because we wanted to, you know, give people a chance to win some medals whilst we're in lockdown and catch up on some online games that we maybe haven't done as many of in the previous 6 months. So that was kind of the reason behind it. And ultimately, we've got to bring the leaderboard to a conclusion at some point, but we did leave it open-ended because we just didn't know how long we were going to be with it. Well, I think we found this week. This has been the first week where we've seen a lot more people back at work, and so kind of things have changed from a timing point of view for people. So we're going to wear that as Brandon's all in and got a call from Paul, Queen Jack against Ace 10.
Oh, it doesn't hit.
And it's not going to be, so Brandon's going to be picking up another bronze medal. But very well done to him. He also picks up $236 for that third place finish. So very nice indeed.
What are your thoughts on live poker? What have you got any kind of prospectus, or is it just you just haven't got a clue?
We're in a situation whereby we're obviously reliant on the venues and what they want to do. And at the moment in the UK, we know that some of the casinos are going to start opening up in the coming weeks in some form or another, but that's not going to involve certainly not going to involve tournament poker in the short term. And obviously this week we heard the sad news that Genting have decided to just pull all of their poker offering, which is very disappointing. Very sad. Isn't it? Yeah, really sad. I don't think it does. It just doesn't help UK poker at all in the slightest. But we are reliant on those. Now, we've postponed the kind of the summer events up to, I think, Brighton in September. We've been chatting with the guys out in Ash out in the Czech Republic, and they're really keen to host in the autumn, and they're starting. They've got a festival running in July.
Oh, really?
So it'll be interesting to see how that runs. Obviously, that's in mainland Europe. It's not going to be the case in the UK at the moment, but we're trying to keep open-minded about it. But ultimately, we're going to only look to offer this when we know it's right for the players and we feel like it. The players are going to want to travel. And I still say at the moment, even if a casino opened up tomorrow and said we're putting an MTT on or a festival on, I'm not sure whether there's an appetite from the players to want to go to a casino environment at the moment. Still, it'll be an interesting one. I mean, take for example the simple thing with like the cinema that I said to you was are opening up at the beginning of July. Now you're a cinema goer, Tony. How keen are you to go to the cinema at the moment? Without your barbecue.
Well, I watched a film a while back called The Quiet Place, which is like I just love that film. I love like science fiction horror shit. So Quiet Place 2 is due to come out about 2 months ago. So if I knew that was out, I would be there. But I would imagine they could fill half fill a cinema, social distancing.
You reckon?
I don't know.
Be interesting to see. Yeah,
I'm trying to minimise the risk of catching it and being ill, because I think we've all read the horror stories, and am I the guy that catches it and shake it off? Am I the guy
if you want to hear anything, you only have to listen back to Thursday night's APAT show, which is available on YouTube, and the podcast will be up on Apple Podcasts, and you can watch it on. Just go on to apat.com/TV. Listen to Alan Horsburgh, who we had on the show on Thursday night. Apart from the amazing millionaire story, but actually he had it. And was 3 weeks, as he put it, Des, the illest he's ever been. For 3 weeks. Really, really not good. And it's the first person I've really ever spoken to who's kind of.
That's the risk factor. I had a Zoom meeting with all of the directors a couple of days ago, and they're looking at going back into work, visiting places, but it's up to us whether to do it or not. And I'm like, I'm reticent about it. I'm getting on a bit. Am I the guy that catches it? And you don't know, do you? That's the scare.
Just don't know, right?
Yeah, no, completely agree. So, just seen. So Jessica Garcia in the chat just says, "What was that about Genting Casino?" So, although Vince has just confirmed, I will just make it clear. Yes. So on. Well, the story broke on Tuesday via Poker News and a few other places that Genting were closing all of their live poker rooms within their casinos. So although their casinos will be looking to open up in the coming weeks, that the poker room staff were all being let go, or certainly going through a consultation process of what they were going to do. But ultimately, I think it was the staff there were very clear that was what was happening, which is obviously devastating news for them in the current time, and a number of the dealers and cardroom staff are good friends of APAT and have supported us over the years, and more recently, we only recently ran an event at Resorts World with Rich and the team there, so devastating for all of them, but that looks like the decision that Genting have made.
Yeah, sad times, isn't it?
Sad times.
It is. I was just talking to my daughter today. It's like, these are the craziest times. It's almost like some kind of zombie apocalypse film. It's like crazy.
I was saying to Jen's niece today, I said, you'll look back on this and tell people about the time you lived through the lockdown and everything of 2020. It will be talked about. Definitely.
I think the worrying thing for me is with what happened in America and the Black Lives Matters situation that's going on, and you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people throughout the world protesting. If there's going to be a spike, then it's going to be a big spike, and again, that's a worrying scenario for me. Is if it's still prevalent, which it clearly is in many countries, is it just not going to? Are we not going to go back to ground zero again?
I guess we'll have to. Yeah,
I think the reality of it is that I very much get the feeling that we won't see I don't think we'll necessarily see a second spike now. I think what we'll just see is a slower reduction down to zero, and that's where I think it probably will be. I don't think we're going to have as much of an issue with their concerns over the NHS being able to cope with numbers or that kind of thing. But what obviously we have got, the reason there won't be a second spike, I think, is because obviously the general public are now massively educated on this, on what's going on, and you won't have as many of them. Well, they are.
They're not really, because the protesters they're not socially distancing. Thousands of people.
But there's a lot of them out there wearing masks, which does make a difference to a certain extent, and you're not going to have as many of the kind of the mass gatherings, and of course you've also got a larger percentage of the population that possibly have already had it now, and therefore are potentially more immune to it than perhaps if you haven't had it. But again, that's not scientifically proven. It's just the assumption that with this type of disease that's what happens. So
have you been tested? Have you had a test? Have you been tested for it?
Nope. No, I've no reason to have a test for it, because I've been on lockdown for the last 3 months and I've not come in contact with anybody that has even shown any symptoms. In fact, the closest I've got to being in contact with anybody that's shown any symptoms was on the show with Alan on Thursday night. That's probably I mean, Jen and I at home, we were on lockdown before actually lockdown even kind of happened, and we're kind of ready and just, you know, getting on with it because you kind of knew what was coming. So
I was reading some stuff yesterday, and you can catch it through the phone now. Did you know that?
Wow.
Can you?
We're in trouble.
Des, we're in a whole heap of trouble. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not feeling well at the moment. I'm really feeling
Tony,
not well.
But Tony, what about if you've done a WhatsApp call? Are you okay if it's a WhatsApp call?
Or Zoom?
Yeah, is that okay? Or Zoom's all right though. Yeah.
It's called digital COVID-19.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, I hear you, Lee, but you know, my worry is you will literally have Trump having this enormous thing tonight in the States, which will be broadcast widely. It'll be on every newspaper, every internet site, and they just send another message that it's okay. You know, it's okay
America,
to do it.
and you can't do a huge amount with what America are doing. As we've got an all in and a call. Oh, it's a horrible decision for Paul there because he's got the Jack 4. So he's got 2 pair and decides to make the call. And Andy had rivered the flush and had gone all in. And Paul thought that could be the end of it there, hoping he was on maybe just a 1 pair or had actually missed. But
switched this around, hasn't he?
Yeah. But they're both playing good poker here. Definitely not holding back. Heads up. It's a good heads up.
Seeing flops.
Yeah.
Who are the last 2?
So Paul Taylor and Andy Kelly. So Brandon's just messaged me, just said, "Thanks again, pal. We'll get there. Same address for the medal. You can carry on filling up my shelf." So very well done, Brandon. We will get another bronze medal in the post to you, my friend.
Well done, Brandon.
Yeah, superb effort.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
I do love that. It's enthusiastic. I had Emma Wanland, who won the second PLO event last weekend, messaged me during the week and was just like, I won again because if I've got their address, I don't need to necessarily go back to them. And she was like, do I get another medal? And I was like, yeah, of course you do. She said, oh, brilliant. My first one came in the post last week, so she was really excited about it. So, so another gold one's going to Sweden. Yeah,
because in that kind of APAT community, as big as it is, it does mean something. So it does mean something when you win something, or you do well.
And that's a brand new person in Sweden. Yeah, I don't think it necessarily even. Yeah, hadn't even known anything about APAT until it started playing these. Yeah,
it's an affirmation, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is nice to do well.
Yeah, and so it's always important to give the shout outs and name checks to people when they do win, because it's important. It's an achievement. You know, I still say, and you alluded to it earlier on, Tony. These APAT fields are tough fields to get through. There's really strong fields, good players who aren't just splashing their chips around for fun. They all want to do well. Yeah,
and that's what's impressive. When I've seen some people play some great poker, and it's like they don't care, and I think that's if you can play like you're not bothered, but you are, then you're playing at your best poker, and it's difficult to get to that level where I try and drink several gins to get to that level, but it doesn't.
What's your gin of choice at the moment, Tony?
Oh, it's just a co-op special.
You're not one of these kind of artisan gin drinkers.
I do like a nice
because gin's come back in again, isn't it? It was out for ages, and now it's like a back in with the gins in the big glasses and all this kind of thing.
I went to a gin festival, and it's just delicious. But this is just like steak and chips kind of a gin. But it does.
Amen.
It does the job. It does the job. Yeah, it's tough times at the moment, Lee. It is. It's like I think we're all struggling, and I think we're all trying to get through it. And I think what you two guys have put up is brilliant, because I wouldn't have wanted to play poker really, but I'm not going to not play in an APAT. And win, lose, or draw, I've enjoyed them.
Well, that's
nice to
always
say.
been the idea. That's nice. That's always been the idea, was to just put something out there, and then people can pick and choose what they want to play when it suits them. And say, because some people are working, some are furloughed, some are homeschooling. People are still homeschooling now, and and trying to cope with all of that. I mean, crikey, it's just insane, isn't it? The pressures that's been put on some people.
I just remembered a question I wanted to ask you actually. So we can on Party Poker, we can send these weird emojis.
Yeah.
The fishing line and stuff. There's one of the emojis that I just don't understand what it is, and it's a taxi. The taxi emoji.
Taxi for Tony.
What is it? What is that one? I don't get it.
I would imagine it's you're out of here.
Ah, okay.
I haven't seen it, but I would imagine.
I would imagine
taxi for Tony. You're gone.
Taxi for Tony. You're out of here. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense now.
So Adelaide Bull says bathtub gin. I don't know.
It's all the same, mate.
I don't know whether he's imagining a bathtub of gin, or he's imagining that Tony's actually sat in his bathtub at the moment,
drinking his own gin.
Yeah, with his phone to the side, going,
"Sweet,
this is the bubbles, guys. This is
bathing in it. Love it."
So I've done a spreadsheet of emojis that have been sent to me, and 68% of the emojis sent to me are the poo one. What is that?
I think
it's unnecessary, isn't it? It's unnecessary.
Well, closely followed by the heart, but what are they saying? Them shit.
I think that's what they're saying. Yeah. Yep.
Do they know who I am?
It's outrageous, isn't it? It's outrageous that your legend has not reached the other side of that particular table.
I need to win something again, don't I? I need to re-establish myself.
So Chris Hyam says, this feels like the first thing in a while on a weekly or bi-weekly basis that compares with the season one.
Yeah,
online.
He's absolutely right. Yeah, we had a big international contingent back in season one. We were on Poker Stars, and the events were huge and great. And we had a very loyal following, from the States and other countries who would come and play APAT all of the time. And of course,
God, Des.
Yeah,
Des. I remember when. I remember sat there with my finger on the trigger. Because you had to click to get into the competition.
The click fest. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That was horrendous.
Oh, mate, you should have seen my view of the computer. I was the one turning it on and off. It was an absolute nightmare.
You click. You have to wait just 2 seconds before to click. You're and then next minute you're 96 people have registered. It's wow.
And I used to love was on the forum when you get the players posting up. Well, I got mine in on this or this number or this time, and it was like, do you think that'll be enough? Do you think
people would be going? So we'd put it live at 9 o'clock, and the forum would fill with people going 9:02. Yeah, 9:02. Exactly. Is that in? Yeah. And other people would be saying, "No, sorry, mate, you missed it. Yeah. And of course, the list would go up at 11 o'clock because I needed 2 hours of absolute just free time to refund people, do all of the nonsense that we had to do. It was such a mess. But anyway, we managed to get there. We hid a lot of the drama.
That was brilliant because I think that showed how excited people were to be part of what you were doing. The structure. I hadn't ever played in a competition, where you've got that many chips and a small the structure and the blinds. It was like you can play poker. Any casino comps quickly become a shove fest, whereas that was the first taste of being able to play poker.
Absolutely.
At an elite level, I think.
Talking about playing poker at an elite level, the Poker Squads game has finished. So Airzy finished in 3rd place. Luke O'Neill finished in 2nd. But that online whippersnapper grinder that is Kevin O'Hanlon.
Well done, Kevin O'Hanlon.
Takes down the Saturday night PLO.
Nicely done.
He won it again.
Yeah.
He won again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bloody whippersnapper.
He did. He took that about 4 weeks ago, I seem to remember.
Is he even old enough to play?
Someone check his ID, yeah?
Ridiculous.
He's playing on a typewriter. He's that old. It's like he's shouting out raise, raise, and all you can hear is ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. He's doing that roller thing.
He's
poor
a
Kev,
legend.
poor Kev, lovely bloke, and I'm very happy for him.
He is a great bloke. I've bumped into him a lot of times. He's got a great sense of humour, and he knows his shit. That guy, for certain, yeah. Top man. That's what epitomises APAT. Is there's so many different people that you bump into, and they all add value. They all add value to you, and your.
Do you know his his PLO? Actually, that's the first. I think that's the. He's not had that many cashes in the PLO. His big success for Kevin is on a Monday night in the No Limit Hold'em. Absolutely, done really well in that.
He's just a little box in there, obviously.
So some of the guys in the chat box referring back to the Click Fest. So Ironside saying Click Fest was so much fun, which it was. Chris Hyam saying, I remember winning a lucky draw to get a place in one when someone pulled out, I think, as indeed did Dan Phillips, who went on to win the very first event, having won his way in through a lucky draw. What else have we got here? Dale asks Adam, what's this all about? Maybe he's talking about the show, the APAT show. Oh.
Might be, well.
Kev says thanks. Hi, Kev. Good evening to you. And Paul Taylor getting a lot of love in the chat box tonight, so he will be the popular choice.
Is Daniel still playing?
I don't think he plays poker that much these days.
If anything, I think he still might play a bit of cash at Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, that was his tipple, I think.
Yeah.
I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago to do some work with us on a cash game that we wanted to do as part of the show, and we didn't. It was with Steve Roderick. We didn't get the sort of the program done for technical reasons, but he seemed interested in becoming involved and calling some hands, which would have been great.
No, it'd be great. I just had an idea. You should run invitational six maxes. Ooh. Just invite people to a six max comp.
It's on my list of a little bit of a kind of an invite.
Like a poker,
which we would do as a stream or something.
Yeah, that'd be good fun. Yeah,
you need cards up though, wouldn't you, for a laugh?
Just collect some people together and put them on the table.
Yeah, we've got a couple of options we could do. We could either do cards up. If we can't do cards up, then we might find a way where we could get those 6 people on a Zoom call and put that out and actually have a bit of banter between each other on the table and do something like that maybe. So.
That'd be good fun.
So Dale, who you were mentioning earlier on, has joined the stream now because he's asked Adam, "What's this all about?" So, Tony was speaking very highly of you, Dale. So, well, actually, he just said that short, thin bloke.
Yeah. But listen, Dale, before you find out what he said about you, you've got to listen to 10 weeks of APAT shows, and we'll ask questions. And then you can watch this one.
Yeah.
You can't just come in and take the good stuff.
This has been a cracking heads up. This has.
It's been a great heads up. Best heads up we've seen in 10 weeks, I would say.
It's just gone both, either way, and neither of them are giving up on this. Obviously, blinds are still only 80,000, 160,000, so there is a fair bit of play in this still. But they're just properly sounding each other out and playing a bit of poker, which is great. So so Ironside says, cards face up would be great. I'd never lose.
Ironside played the first. He was there the first. I remember meeting him in the first season. He was on my table.
Certainly,
he was. He was on my very first table in Luton. First time I've played an APAT.
He hasn't got a clue, has he? He doesn't know what he's doing.
Useless.
Useless, yeah.
No, to be fair, he's come back and played more recently, and I think he's been a bit of a shock. He's going to be like, what's all this about?
Well, listen, it's been 14 years. Can somebody tell him he's allowed to turn his cards face up?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So don't forget, guys. Sunday is a slightly different format for the feeders for the Sunday roller. They're slightly different times. They're at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and then there's a turbo at 6 with the Sunday roller itself starting at 7. So try and get yourself in with a stack for $5, and you've got 4 chances to do that. And if not, you can still buy in for $55 on a Sunday. It's a great little tournament on a Sunday night. Already got a bunch of people already in that. So I think there's about 18 already in it with a stack. Biggest stack at the moment is Mark Kinghan with 100,000. Jeff Talbot's got 90,000, so a couple of biggies. Rich Baker's through with 55,000. Vince is through with 50,000. Naz is through. Daniel Weaver's already through. Gary Young. Phil Tompkinson's got a stack in there, 29,000. Bob Bullman's there. Michelle Gascoigne's got 25,000.
Phil Tompkinson's got a top bloke. I might have a go at that. I've not tried to have I've not had a go at the old Sunday roll here, but I think I might.
Even if you've not got much time during the day, if you play the 6 o'clock, it's a turbo, so you've got to you get through 16 levels in about 50 minutes, so it is a bit of a flyer, the 3-minute levels, but you can quickly build a stack. So the tournament starts at 7, so if you play the feeder at 6, you can or even play the feeder at 5. If you don't go through, they have one more shot at the 6 o'clock turbo, but you can have a couple of shots at trying to get in for $5.
And about a grand up top.
Yeah, it's decent money up top as well.
Great little price.
The past, I think every week, so I think it was about $5 short. Now it's pretty much been $1,000 or more the past 3 weeks. So yeah, well worth. We have a load that we'll buy in on the night as well, so and play it. So yeah, it's a good little tournament. Probably runs. Trying to think when it normally finishes. It normally finishes because we then could jump to squad, so it probably finishes about 11:30ish. Yeah, 11, half 11, something like that. So it's about 4 hours, 4.5 hours play on a Sunday night.
Yeah, I might give that a go. See how my luck is.
Yeah, so this doesn't seem to. Yeah, it's swinging. Yeah, both ways now. Andy's now taking the chip lead again, and Paul's looking to fight back. But it's just every hand is being raised up. It's great to watch. So Ironside says, "What we're allowed to look at cards, yeah." And Alistair's got a stack in that as well tomorrow, as well, about 20,000. So haven't even talked about prize pools, prize money in this tonight. Crikey, it's been so busy chatting away to Tony. So these guys now are guaranteed $330, and it's $463 up top, plus the $109 PP Live Passport ticket.
That's okay for $16.
Yeah, not bad for an evening's work.
That's good value. That is. That's good value.
Plus, obviously, your medals as well, and you still doing the cards as well.
Oh,
Des?
absolutely.
So
yeah, if you've got a ranking, if you've got a top 500 ranking, we'll do your card as well.
Des will hand draw you a card.
Chisel.
Yeah, a little exclusive card.
Very nice it is too, even if I do say so myself.
No, exactly. Yeah, so Alice has just confirmed, 25k.
Very nice, 25k.
Tomorrow, so he'll do 25 is plenty to get going.
Finished runner-up in the first event, Neville Harrington. Started with 25k.
He did, yeah. So Andy's now got pretty much a 2-to-1 chip lead here now. Let's see whether he adds to that or whether Paul fights back. So where do you see your poker playing moving forward then, Tony? Pretty much it's just going to be the kind of social events that you go to rather than anything else?
It will be predominantly the BCPC are running a Premier League competition, and they're running an online league. Are they still doing the sending someone to Vegas thing? Is that still happening? Yeah, they're still doing that as well. So that was next year. So yeah, live.
And Brian's just paying for that. That's really good of him. isn't it?
Yes.
That's he's a generous guy. Yeah.
He sent us all like money, yeah, so we can all go. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, from a live perspective, it would just be APAT for me. I can't even envisage going to a casino and playing, but I was hoping to go to the Malta comp.
Well, that's still provisionally in the calendar. Yvonne and the guys out there are desperate they want to run the event. The casino are still unsure about what they're going to do. And I guess it's just a case of if everybody can align and agree, then it might be that it potentially happens. And if people at that time of the year are okay with the trip to Malta and there are flights and they want to do it, then ultimately it could potentially still happen. But I'm not convinced all of that will come together. But you never know because things change so quickly.
Yeah, I've not really planned anything. I'm just playing these. Obviously,
and we're done.
What you've put up.
Yeah. I say we're done. Andy gets it all in, and Paul decides to make the call. Andy had the ace queen, and Paul had once he decided he was ummed and ahed for a little while before he decided to make the call. And I think he had Jack 9. I think so. I think he had the up and down. Yeah, so he had the pair in the up and down straight draw, and it was a king on the river, so he missed. So Andres Aquilia picks up first place, $463, and the $109 passport ticket. And Paul Taylor has to settle for second place, $330. But well done to all of you.
Wow, nice results. Well done, guys. So, believe it or not, after all of that, that's it. It's done. Just like that, one hand. So, guys, I guess a huge thank you to Tony for giving us a lot of his evening, particularly as he was playing 2 comps and obviously stretching across tables and all sorts to accommodate. So it's great to have you on. Lots of stories. It was really enjoyable, Tony. Thank you very much for that. To you guys out there who have stuck with us tonight, played some of the comps, chatted lots. I can't remember. Chat box is busy. That was because the magnificent Tony Trippier was on. So thanks for all of that engagement. We are back tomorrow night with the lovely Vince and Shirley in a member takeover. So that could be quite a fruity one. It should be fun. And, as Lee has already outlined, there's a ton of poker available through tomorrow, whether we're looking at, roller phase 1s, the roller itself, squads, etc. So, we hope to see you back tomorrow and playing, and we will catch up with you from 10 o'clock. So from Lee, Tony, and myself, that's a wrap. Good night, guys.
Night.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers, Tone.